Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. Thank you for joining me. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here having a conversation with me. Today we're having a guest straight from Israel, educator. He reached out to me a few weeks back. We talked. He stumbled into my show and sent an email, and he has something to say from a Israeli perspective. And this show is about reaching out to people across the table, reaching out to people you never talked to, reaching people, just talking and learning to disagree without being disagreeable. And so there's a lot of tension between the Jews and the African American community, and I like to hear the other side of the story. I like to hear both sides, 4 sides, 3 sides, 7 sides, who knows? Every side is important. So I want to introduce my brother from another mother, Brother Smolo, right? I want to pronounce your name correctly.
Shlomo or Ken Quinn.
Okay, Quinn.
I see my wife's name on the screen. That's your my wife's.
Okay,
my wife's Zoom account, but it doesn't matter. It's
yeah.
okay.
It's matter of fact, I wonder I could maybe switch it on my end. And I think that's what you was mentioning earlier. Let's see here. There's a way to do it. I just gotta figure out how to do it. I'm gonna figure it out.
All right,
but I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll figure it out because wait a minute. Okay. I think I got it here. I think this is here. No. Wait a minute. I think I got it here. Nope, I didn't. Okay, I will figure it out. But
it's okay.
So Quinn, I think Quinn is
sure. Ken or Shlomo?
Kevin Shlomo.
Okay.
Introduce yourself. Tell the people who are you. And the floor is yours. And I got some questions about your background in regards to, I know you was in Boston and you moved to Israel. So give us the whole history, the bio.
Okay. First of all, thank you for allowing me onto your program. The reason why I reached out to you is I was listening to one of your podcasts in Israel, and you had said if there were any Jewish people listening who would like to come on, you would welcome them to come on. And I said, "Wow, maybe I should call." This is actually, as Dr. Phil says, my second rodeo. I was on a similar debate 2 years ago with you might know them, I don't know, Deacon Sakari and Gorilla Hebrew.
Yeah. I see. I know who he is. I think I spoke to him one time on the phone, and,
Mhm.
and maybe met. I don't think I met him face to face. I think just we talked on the phone one time, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Okay, so this is my second debate, if you want to call it a debate or discussion.
Yeah.
Um, I will repeat to you what I said to them 2 years ago, which is I am worried and frustrated and angry about the hatred, the anti-Semitism, and what I would call, and unfortunately, no, people are not framing it in this way, but I hope they start framing it like this: identity theft. I believe, I know that some segments of the African American community are attempting to steal my identity, and I don't like it.
And let's deal with
And not
that.
just my identity,
And let me ask
my
you.
people's identity.
And let me ask you some questions.
Yeah.
I know you grew up in Boston.
Yep.
A Jewish family.
Yes. Correct.
Was your family Orthodox,
No.
conservative? Were
No.
they
Assimilated but proud Jews.
okay?
I became more religious as I grew older,
Okay.
and I consider myself at the moment traditional.
Okay. And so you grew up in
My
the
wife would
'60s.
probably call herself Orthodox. I would say I'm traditional,
Okay. You
but
grew up in,
I'm a proud Jew.
okay. Did you grow up in the '60s, '70s,
No,
'80s?
no. I am a few years older than you because I think you
40, I'm
said it.
50. I'm
Yeah,
50.
I'm 56.
Okay.
And I had a good life in Boston. I had a good life in America,
Okay.
but I wanted to fulfill the 2,000-year-old dream of returning to my ancestral homeland of Israel, which
Okay.
I did in 1989,
Okay.
and I've never looked back. And I love America. I love my family in America. I love my friends in America, but I'm here at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in Boston, grew up in a Jewish family. So talk to me. So you're 56. So you
Yes.
would probably grew up more in the '70s as a
Correct.
kid, right? So the political climate at that time, who would your parents be voting for during that time? Would they be considered Republicans, Democrat? What was the political?
Well, Massachusetts is a very liberal Democratic state,
Okay.
and my parents were no exceptions to that.
Okay. So mostly
So
Democrats,
certainly
liberal.
liberal
Okay.
Democrats.
Okay.
Uh, eh, Most of my family and were also liberal Democrats.
Okay.
We voted Democratic. Yes.
Okay. Do you still consider yourself a Democrat? Or you walked away from that? Are you somewhere in the middle? Where are you?
I feel like both in America and in Israel, where I live at the moment, and in America, I would define myself as centrist.
Okay.
I An example would be I preferred, even though Trump was very good to Israel and very favorable. I don't think he was a good president, and I would not. I've never voted in American elections since I came here,
Okay.
and I would not have voted for him had I had the opportunity.
Okay.
So I guess that would be an example of my being centrist.
Okay. Now, who inspired you when you was a young man? What kind of books you read
Who
as a
inspired
kid?
me?
Yeah. What were you in high school? Were you the jock?
I was
The
more of an
clown?
athlete.
Athlete.
I was
Okay.
more
So
of an
so you
athlete.
was a jock.
I was
Okay.
more of an athlete. I played team sports. I was
Okay.
also somewhat of an introvert, I
Okay.
have to say.
Okay.
I certainly read books about politics and books about sports.
Okay.
Um, uh, Actually, one of my favorite books growing up that connects to African American society was Man Child in the Promised Land.
Okay.
I think that was Claude Brown, I think,
Yep.
if I remember correctly.
Okay.
That was an amazing book,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
But I would say I was more of my passion probably was sports and then politics, as I grew older, I became increasingly connected to my Jewish identity.
What age? What age this happened? In
I
your
would
20s, your
say, I don't know,
30s?
maybe shortly after my bar mitzvah,
Okay.
13, 14.
Okay.
I actually I have a very non-Jewish last name, so people did not know I was Jewish. And I heard a lot of anti-Semitism, not at school so much, but at work.
Okay.
Various restaurants that I worked at, and not just restaurants.
And what
also
kind of
other
comments
places.
you heard? What kind of comments that
Very. I can't remember the exact words, but just very hateful things about Jews, told by people not knowing that I was Jewish.
Got you.
Yeah, I wasn't. As I said, I wasn't religious in those days.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was very jarring for me. That was very jarring for me. As I said to Deacon and Gorilla 2 years ago, all of my interactions with African Americans were always positive. It's ironic.
Yeah.
When I went to university, my roommate for 2 years was an African American, one of the greatest people I've ever met, and I'm still friends with him today. So it's kind of ironic that the anti-Semitism that I encountered was not from African Americans. It was from white people who didn't know I was Jewish.
Okay.
Now, as I'm in Israel and I'm kind of watching the scene from here, I'm feeling the anti-Semitism of the African American community much more so.
Okay.
As an observer.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a thing that people, especially now, of course, with this Kanye and the basketball player
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving. It's getting heated, and there's a lot of tension going on. And I'm a little younger than you, but you want to say something?
It's only coming from one direction, though. It's been this way for many years.
Meaning from the African American to the Jewish.
Yes, okay. Towards the Jewish. Correct. It does not go the other way.
So let me tell you.
There's a mistake, if I may say so. I know we're going to go for a while. There's a mistake made by the media.
Yeah.
To try to paint this as symmetrical or equal. It's not. It's not.
No. I would say that the frustration is coming out more towards the African American side. You have no argument.
100% more. 99% more.
Yeah, you got
the
me.
Jews, we have been on the defensive for decades already with in terms of Farrakhan, and then for him Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
Well, before him Andrew Young.
Well, but let me give you.
The Jews are constantly on the defensive.
Yeah.
And we're tired of it. We're tired of it.
But where's let's go into the defense, right? Because earlier I was saying when you was walking around with your American name, they didn't know that you was Jewish, and then
I was born with that name. That was
you was born. You was born with that name, and then you changed it later. Some people, they know you was Jewish, they say certain things. And the reason why I asked you what they were saying is because, people could, hate usually has a root cause, right? And every person who is considered as a hateful person, right? The Ku Klux Klan, the Nazis, whatever, even, extreme black groups or what have you, from their perspective, they think they're doing a good work, or this evil is necessary. So I like to digest. I like to digest where did the hate come from. I'm a big historian. I love to write history, read history books, and and documentaries and read what was going on 100 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 1,000 years ago. What was the thought, and so forth, so on. And when I did the research on specifically on why people hated Jews in Europe and Germany and things of that nature, and even early America, don't trust the Jew, right? So forth, so on. Where did that came from, right? Because if we could find out the origin, then we could maybe digest and say, okay, this is what we need to do to correct the negative stereotype, right? And you mentioned earlier about, and I think you and I was talking about that. I believe that Jewish people are a victim of their own success.
Yeah,
because
I heard you say that. And I think that's absolutely correct.
Right.
100% correct.
So I think, what happened, because I got friends of mine, they swear by it that Jews rule the world, right? I don't subscribe to that.
Right.
I subscribe to, I think there was two things that happened that kind of changed the directory of the Jewish people. Before World War II and after World War II. Because before World War II, before Hitler and the Germanys and all that negative, evil stuff happened, right? There was writings about Jewish people in the medieval times. And a lot of it was not great. Now, because you got Jew as a race, you got Jew as a religion, right? So you have to kind of compartmentalize it to some degree. And you have different sect of Judaism, the Sephardic, you got the Jews in Ethiopia, you got the Jews in Yemen, you got the Jews in Eastern European. So they are independently going through their journey, right? And they have their own different origins and so forth, so on, for my studies, right? And I think within Judaism, particularly in Europe, specifically on the eastern part of things in Europe, I think the problem was that they were living in a Christian world, right? And therefore, that became the problem of these the people that did not accept Christ and they don't accept Christ. So that became the issue. They were not Christians, right? Right. And on top of that, I think going back to the victim of success, it still applied even back then. Usually Jewish people. I don't know if you follow. There's a guy that I follow, Bar Solomon, I think his name is. He is kind of like a Jewish. He's rabbi, but he goes into business and he kind of is introducing the secrets of Jewish success.
What's his name again?
Let me look him up.
Oh, he's the guy. Is he the guy that you featured a few episodes ago?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yes.
I've seen him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And within the Jewish culture, because of the Bible, right? And then you got the Talmud, but in the Bible, okay, let me say this lightly. Because I see this happens within the Israelite community, and I see it also happen in the Jewish community, that the Bible, if you're going to adopt the theory or the belief that you are the descendants of Israel, is going to give you a level of super, what's that word I'm looking for? Like you're above others to some degree. I believe.
I know. I heard you say that.
What I'm saying is you cannot dismiss if you are a child. It doesn't matter what part of the world, and you are taught that you're God-chosen people. And I'm talking about, and like I said, it's a problem not only with the Jewish people, just the concept.
But can I just say? Can I interrupt you?
Yeah. I'm gonna let you interrupt me, but I want to bring it on that. If you have a scenario that you've been told that you're God-chosen people and everybody else is not, right? And everybody is leaving you alone, it's not going to activate those us against them mentality. And I think when you add your God-chosen people, and by the way, these non-Jews, these non-chosen people, there are attacking you, and you got biblical example of Jews being delivered by God from the Gentiles, from the evil oppressors. I think it could psychologically do something with you, and it's dangerous if you don't have a balance. And I know this because I was involved with a Israelite group years ago in the 90s that believed that we were the chosen people of God and everybody is beneath us. So I came from that world. God delivered me from that perspective. And I think that I do believe that my ancestors do go back to, Israelite stock because of my research. I think it goes back to Sephardicism. I believe that there was, and I could show you, I'm gonna just read some reference in a few minutes, that it was always black Jews in the world. It was always known. They were ignored, but they were back. I know you nod your head.
I don't agree with that.
And I know you don't, but what I'm saying is, regardless whether you don't, can you agree that there were people that did some exploring in Africa from the 11th century, the 9th century, 10th century, 11th century forward, and say, hey, we found these guys saying they're Jews and they're keeping Torah. Do you believe that exists, or that those historians?
Well, can I go back?
Yeah.
Before I answer that question, can I go back to something you said? Because I heard you say this in a previous episode. I just hope you trust my sincerity when I tell you.
Yes.
In my house growing up, and I spoke about this with friends because I knew that this was going to be something that you were going to ask. The concept of chosenness was not mentioned even once. Not even once. I'm telling you, I promise you.
Not even once.
No, sitting around the dinner table. Never, ever was it ever mentioned. And I asked my friend, a friend at a Shabbat lunch a few days ago. Yeah. He also said, we never discussed it. It was not something we discussed. I said, how do you feel about the whole concept of chosenness? He said, it's embarrassing. We Jews don't sit around talking about being chosen. It's not part of the conversation, not part of our consciousness.
Maybe in your household. I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you. But sometimes you have to look at the world from percentage and not from your personal experience, right? Because
I've asked other people the same question. That's always the answer. Maybe among possibly, maybe Chabad Lubavitch, for example, maybe they discuss it. But among 99% of all the Jews, it's not part of the discussion. We don't think about it. We don't talk about it.
And I believe you. However, though, what I'm trying to convey here is going back to connecting the pieces in regards of I believe that if with any group, that is always a thing. If it's not handled correctly, it could be dangerous. And the reason why, and what I'm saying is, I'm not saying as a whole, I'm not attacking the Jewish religion or identity, because you got other people that are genetically or phenotypically different and also claiming to be Jews from other parts of the world, right? Now, I know you disagreed. You said that there may be a problem of converts, and I want to hear your thoughts on that. But I just see, if you grew up with this Tanakh and you read it, no one has to tell you anything. It's gonna fester something in you as like, wow, my ancestry goes back to the book. This book that is the greatest book ever written, most translated, most debated, most discussed. I mean, we're talking about it right now. Everybody's talking about the Bible every day, and things of that nature. It's just, I think no one has to tell you, or no one has to tell the chosen conversation. You're reading it all through the Bible.
I hear what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I just think that non-Jews are much more focused on the chosenness concept than Jews are. I grew up Jewish, and I'm telling you, it's not part of the conversation.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I also believe it does something psychologically to non-Jews when they read that too.
Yes.
I believe
there's the issue right there.
Yes.
There is the issue. And I think a lot of that comes through I mean, we'll talk about this later. We're on 2 hours. A lot of Farrakhan's stuff that comes from that, or the Black Hebrews, or the Black Hebrew Israelites.
Well, I want to go back to, you mentioned that you believe that people of color who are basing their belief on being Jews based on a misconception. What is your studies on this? And give me your opinion, and why do you believe that?
In all my studies, Jews came from the land of Judea originally, and they were Semitic people. Okay, and they had a certain shared DNA, which they still to this day possess. Semitic is not African. Semitic is Middle Eastern. I'm not denigrating, but I'm not denigrating African or Northern European. Jews are from the land of Israel, which is in what is today called the Middle East.
Yes.
There is no historical record of African Jews, converts possibly, but very few. And the Jews, the Jewish communities that have been recognized, were either in the land of Israel, or once they left the land of Israel, they either went to Europe, or they went to what is today the Arabic world.
Yeah.
There were no recognized communities outside of Europe, the Middle East, and the Middle East.
Right.
It's true that Ethiopian Jewry, their Jewishness was confirmed by Rav Ovadia Yosef, who was the Sephardic chief rabbi, but the sources that it's not clear to me exactly the sources that he used, but genetically, Ethiopian Jewry does not share the same common DNA that Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Yemenite Jewry have. And these other communities, which I've heard you mention in previous episodes, the Lemba, or the Igbo, right?
You got the Igbo, the Lemba, the Ashanti. You got other,
There's no record by any recognized historian.
Okay, so let me give you
prior to 100 years ago. Nothing.
Let me give you some historians. One of your colleagues, he's Jewish. His name is Nahum Slouch.
Nahum.
Right. Nahum. He wrote a book called Travels of North Africa, and he recorded that there were Jews in Africa. It says all of fine dark type. Right. You have also, page.
Can I just interject?
Yeah. I'm gonna let you in a few minutes. Right. And you got also. There was another one of your colleagues by the name of Yakov. Let me pronounce his last name. Spell his last name. Shavit. All right. He wrote a book called History in Black. He came to the same conclusion that there were always Israelites in Africa. You have another book called The Black Jews in Africa and in America. You have also writings, even in Sephardic history. It says the Jews of Portugal were very black. Okay, it says
the Jews of where?
Of Portugal, Spain.
Portugal.
Yeah. And you got, let's see here. Let me see here. I got, and these are books I have come across and read. Okay.
Can I respond?
Yeah, you got a Muslim traveler that let's see here. His name is Muhammad, the Muslim historian of the 10th century, Tabari. It says the children of Shem settle in the middle of the earth, which is between the Sabila and the sea between Yemen and Syria. Allah made the prophets from them, reveal the books to them. He revealed the books to them, made them beautiful, gave them black complexion, luminous and free of blemish, right? 10th century. You got also the Jews, the Saracen Jews, Saracen. Okay, it says they had a black complexion. You have Queens. There was a book, The Jews by Marshall Ficksburg, page 120, 142, 141st, goes into that the Jews in Africa had Negro types. You got color knows no color line. Okay, it says many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the distinguish of the Jews and said they are Negroid. Right? And John Bigelow, he wrote a book as well. Let's see here. Russian art displaying saints of people of color. I mean, even if you may disagree, and I want to hear your evidence, why you feel that this group of Jews that went to Europe or identify with the Jewish religion can only be the legitimate people of
also the Middle East,
and also the Middle East. But what I'm saying is,
by the way, when I say Middle East, I mean, of course, North Africa. When you mention Africa, I think what you need to understand is that people were referring to North Africa. North Africa would be Morocco or Tunisia or Algeria, let's say.
Yeah.
But not West Africa. There is
no.
I have not read a single historian.
There's a book. I want you to get. It says
any kind of a recognized Jewish community.
I want to give you a book.
West Africa.
I'm going to give you a book right now. I want to give you a book right now. It's called The Black Jews of Africa. Okay.
I would have to read it, and I would have to check the sources.
You have to. Yeah.
I am very suspicious of those sources.
Okay.
Whatever sources he uses, if he uses any at all.
There's plenty of this, sir. I love you. I want world peace. But I have watched and I've seen too many books. I wish, because I was in the process of moving, so all my books is on the storage. There's always been conversation. And this is what you have to think. This is what you have to say. You have Jewish historians like what's his name? Benessa Ben Israel, Hope of Israel. He wrote that book, talked about in 16th century. You got Catholic monks, the Duran came up to the same conclusion. You have Muslims, historians come to the same conclusion. We found these Jews in Africa.
West Africa?
In Africa, yes. The Igbos.
No, but what part of Africa?
Yeah, the Igbos and the Shanti, they're in Nigeria. And that was a hotbed.
Those are not recognized communities.
I know they're not recognized communities, but you
cannot show me any evidence of a synagogue, of a traditional synagogue with a no.
But listen, I want you to step out of your skin for a minute.
All right. Okay.
Recognized by who?
By historians, by Jewish historians, by non-Jewish historians. I'm sorry.
No, but what I'm saying is what I'm saying is this. And I could send you these records. Jewish pirates of the Caribbeans. Another source goes into it. There's too much data out there for people to say it's not recognized by this particular group, because it's not recognized by the Jewish people, and that's fine. But you have to be specific. The Jewish people specifically out of Europe. The rabbis,
also Middle Eastern, also Sephardic, also Yemenite. Now, in terms of the dark hue,
but hold up, sir. Well, hold the respect. Right, where there's those Yemenite Jews and those Middle Eastern Jews getting their information from? From the rabbinical Jewish community in Europe and in Israel. And what I'm saying is, this is what I'm trying to bring home. We could argue this point until the cow comes home. And this whole DNA thing, I could show you source of Jewish people in Israel saying The DNA's proved. There was a book called The Invention of the Jewish People that came out a few years ago. Okay.
He's not even a history professor.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is this: it's out there.
But it's false.
But you saying it's false doesn't make it false.
Okay.
And some people are gonna disagree with you, right? So
by the way, I want to make something very clear.
Yeah.
I would have no problem if it were true. It just happens not to be true. But, I have no racial.
I know you don't. I know you don't. This is not the point I'm trying to bring.
I think when you talk about a darker hue, maybe it might be in reference to Yemenite Jewry, which is on the border with Ethiopia.
Well, no, because every single time the reference was always referenced like African. It made description. It made specifically description of an African, not a Middle East. What I'm saying is, it's out there. Let's just say it's all wrong. Let's say somebody's playing a hoax.
Out there. It happens not to be true.
Let's just say it's a big hoax, and they on the Jewish community. The bottom line is this: it's out there, and there's historians from all different communities, and they have their own versions, right? Because even the Catholics, I mean, when the Catholics began to become a thing, what was the first thing they began to do? To put paintings of people of the Middle East to look more like Europeans. Jesus Christ didn't have a blonde hair, blue eye, looking like somebody from Eastern Europe, right? Everybody knows that now, right? So what I'm saying is to rule it out. To rule it out, I think it's narrow-minded. I don't know what happened 1,000 years ago. You don't know. All we do is we are picking up the pieces. We have different historians. Everybody has different opinions. A lot of people wrote about this. Somehow it got ignored. And this is my personal opinion why they got ignored. I think the Jewish people, in an indirect way, although when you look at, early America, when they was establishing, establishment of the American identity, they wanted to have, it was white British, white American, blue blood, Christian values, right? Anybody that didn't fit under that demographic was considered less than, including the Irish, the Jewish people, Native Americans, African Americans, right? We were the outside, right? And I think what happened is that when the Jewish people was the outside, your luxury was you could fit in a much larger white world.
Okay, that's
right.
That's a conspiracy theory.
No. But what I'm saying is, it's not a conspiracy. It's just observation. It's just I'm looking at the world, and I say I think the advantage that Jewish people had, which is a good thing, they were able to blend in a much larger European world, right? But still relate to the people of the ghettos, because that term ghetto actually came from Germany. The ghetto. Italy. Yes, exactly. Right. And things of that nature. So what I'm saying is that I think what happened is that because even the Irish, I mean, you look at the Irish, the Boston Tea Party, right? It started with whites and black being pissed off at the elite. Right. And the Jewish people, when they came, right, to America, they were not the elite, right? They were the bottom of the barrel in the ghetto. They were with the Irish. They were with the blacks, the natives. They were, right? They were not considered to be part of the white man's club. So I think what happened is that through the process of time, and especially after World War II, it kind of sparked it to the point. It's like, listen, no more ever again. Somebody comes against us, we go against him. And I could appreciate that, but what I'm looking at because I'm neither black nor Jewish nor white. I'm Afro-Latino. I'm a different. I could look at both scenarios because it's mostly African American complaining or shouting that they are the tribes of Israel and the white Jews are not, right?
I don't consider myself white, by the way. If you look at me, if you look at my complexion, if you look at my color, the color of my hair, I
Yes,
would
but
define myself as Semitic.
I know you don't. But in Boston, you mentioned when you were in
Yes, I
Boston,
did.
when
Absolutely.
you didn't have the Jewish name, people thought you was maybe Italian, maybe
Yeah,
Greek,
maybe,
right?
maybe,
Okay, you could
maybe Mediterranean.
right, Mediterranean, right? And
Okay.
there's a lot of Italians and Greeks in Boston, right? So
Yes,
you could
yes.
blend in within
Yeah.
the. That's what I'm trying to say. What?
No, I hear you, and I. Before we continue, I do appreciate your being polite, and I appreciate that truly. I know this
Listen,
is a this is an
it's
emotional topic.
not for me.
Um,
It's not that
I know. I just no,
emotional.
but so I just want to
Yeah,
say that at
like
the outset.
I'm not here to try to convince you of anything.
No, I know.
I'm
I
just
just
trying
wanted to
to
say one
express what
thing.
I believe. Yeah, go ahead.
The Jews are a Semitic group. Semitic is not African, my friend. We have had converts, and we accept converts who convert. We accept their conversion completely.
Yes.
Ethiopians, I think. I mean, again, I would have to check the writings of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, but I think he accepted their conversion.
But can you appreciate that to your rabbi and shout out to him? We don't come from that world. The world does not come from that world. So I understand. Okay, your rabbi did not recognize that group or this record. You believe these people came from converts. That is fine. But and I disagree. But let's agree to disagree. I believe this will happen. I believe when you look at all the writings of the ancient Israelites, they were people of color. Could you at least agree that?
When you say color, what do you mean?
So when you look at, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Okay. In the Bible itself, right? I know you don't necessarily, are religious. You get more religious as you go, but and I know there's certain things that you may not cold hard believe in the Bible, but I don't want to speak for you, but correct me if anything you may disagree. Basic chemistry, right? Basic. When Moses saved the woman in the whale, the story goes, right? And these are books that the rabbis wrote, right? The woman said, the Egyptian saved me from the guys that was trying to, steal water from me or whatever, right? She right, support, right?
Okay.
And you got many examples of that the Jews always were mistaken not for Middle Eastern people. I could probably argue more with the northern tribe, but when you specifically dealing with Judah, all my writings, Herodotus, he said that the Jews look like the descendants of the Ethiopians. I could send that to you. You have many of the people drawing the Jews or painting them during the time of the Middle East in that time, like when they the Babylonian when the Babylonians conquered Israel, they painted and made murals about it. The Assyrians did the same thing. So what I'm saying is most scholars or some scholars agree these are how the ancient Israelites used to look. And when I look at those paintings, they look more like me, not like you.
Okay.
Because listen, if you and I will take a time machine, or even go now to the Middle East and put Middle Eastern garments, I will pass for a Middle Eastern. Much more than you. Yeah, and what I'm saying is this constant idea, and this is my theory. I believe that, and this is something that you probably gonna get pissed off. I believe that despite all the evidence that the ancient Israelites were people of color. Now, were they Sahara Africa black? No. But they were more looking like me and your typical African American today, because if you look at African American today versus Sahara African, they got two different phenotypes, right? Afro Latinos, there would be a more authentic scenario. And I think there is a hesitant within the white or European or Asia, I don't, whatever you want to call them, of accepting other people that have been there for many years. We have eyewitnesses going back to the 9th century, 10th century, 12th century, 11th century. Say, yeah, there were these Jews here. There were these Jews here. There were these Jews. Now, I know what the rabbis are saying. Oh, they could have been converted. Maybe us Jews, we used to travel and convert people. Maybe that's what happened. And I have heard that about that every single time a Jewish person, not every single time, but a lot of Jewish people will say they could have been converted, and so forth, so on. I think no one knows who's the real Jew. We're just guessing. And the reason why you guys are in a position that you are in the position of like we got Israel now is because you're part of the much larger European establishment. If the Chinese would have been conquering America, it would have been the Chinese Jews overseeing Israel. And I think people just forget that sometimes we are a victim of our own environment.
As you said, we don't have, it is true, we don't have photographers that took pictures thousands of years ago. We do not have that. We do have, one of the oldest depictions of Jews in a synagogue was in Syria called the Dura Europa synagogue. That was from 200 AD. And there, the Jews who are pictured are definitely not African. That's for sure. They're Middle Eastern.
What I'm saying is this. This is the problem. Are you a Jew by blood or a Jew by religion? Even though through the Bible,
both.
You have many people that converted to Judaism.
Yes,
right?
Converts, yes.
Right? You got the right. So what I'm saying is, let me give you down the rabbit hole. Mordecai.
But wait,
right?
Gabar, can I just speak for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, according to the Bible, to the Torah, Avram came from Iraq, Ur Kasdim.
Yes.
And then from Iraq, from Ur Kasdim, he went to Haran.
Yes.
And from Haran, he went to the land of Israel. And then he went down to Egypt.
Yes.
But if we're talking about Semitic, Middle Eastern people.
Yes, but if you take, listen to me. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I've been,
but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
99% of Jews are not going to be saying what I'm saying because they don't want to offend and they want to be polite.
But look at what I'm saying.
I feel the need to be very clear because I've seen that Jews who have been polite, what has it gotten us? It's gotten us this belief that that the African Americans are descendant from Jews, and it's just not true.
But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but even though you saying it's not true, and I'm not gonna even try to waste my time to try to convince you. Okay, you believe it's not true. The world is bigger than both of us. There's a lot of people that believe it's true. What are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna argue? Are we gonna argue and try to convince that they're not and blah blah blah? We're gonna convince that you're not and things of that nature. And my friend, with all the respect, listen, with all the respect,
yeah.
From all the people that have been claiming that they are Jews, from Africa, from India, from China, we are so effing self-centered, man. We got to stop this Western mentality that is all about us. The only reason why we even talking about European history and we think that's world history, but we don't call it European history, is because we've been brainwashed to think that our history is the only history that matters. Everybody else matters.
Sure.
And what I'm saying is, just because something goes against the narrative of what you believe in, you have to respect everybody's wishes. Like, I respect your belief that you're a descendant of Israel, but I got to respect the Igbos. I got to respect the Ashantis. I got to respect the Chinese. If that bothers you, you got to get over yourself because we're sharing this planet. We're sharing this planet.
Hold on, Gabar. The people who are saying what you're saying are saying.
But they've been saying it all along for a long time. They've been saying it for a long time.
You. And I have no problem. I love you.
Yes, but listen to me. Listen to me. I have spoken to many Jewish friends. I have spoken to. Yeah, go ahead.
African American converts we accept completely. They are 100%.
That's
Jewish.
not what I'm trying to convey here, my friend. You're missing the point.
But you're saying I have to get over myself, or the Jewish
no, what I'm saying,
European Jews.
The bottom line, we don't know who's the real Jew. That's what I'm trying to say.
I do.
No, listen to me. You could say that, but facts is gonna speak other words.
Okay.
You could say because we were not there. right?
Tell you
And
based on
the
what
only
I think
reason, listen, the only reason why in America, when you hear the word Jew, your name or your phenotype comes up is because as quiet as kept. When the Romans converted to Christianity, the Greeks, right? I told you that they began to put what? Jesus Christ and Mary as looking like them, right? Not Middle Eastern, not people of the true, authentic phenotypes, right? So therefore, that is a direct result of the fact that the entire world is not going to be focusing on Jews from other parts of the world. They're going to be focusing on Jews from Europe. That's the reason why psychologically, you've been, it's like it's now coming out there were Jews in Africa. But listen, let me finish. There's now coming out that Jews are in Africa. But I got historians from the 9th century say, yeah, I've seen them in the 9th century.
I'd like to read those historians.
It doesn't matter. Listen, there was probably a Sephardic Jew and an Ashkenazi Jew arguing about it 1,000 years ago. The bottom line, they're there, they exist, they're not going away. They're gonna hold on. They believe their story, their word of mouth, their tradition as much as you do. It should be respected. And what happened when it doesn't get respected, and then when it doesn't get respected, and because Jewish people are more on the side of the European look, I know you're not white, I get it, but you could pass for a white. Once you start saying that and you start putting listen, once you start saying everybody's a convert except us, automatically, even then if you have like all the evidence that you could prove it and things of that nature, other people are going to bring some evidence. Other people are going to try to debunk it. You're going to try to debunk them. Why even do it? Why don't we just simply respect everybody's position? Yours, mine, the Igbo, the Ashanti, the Lumba, the Yemenite Jews, the Chinese Jews.
Yemenite Jews, I agree with.
No, but regardless, I think that the problem it comes like this, right? It comes like this. We don't know. And when Jewish people from the European diaspora are saying that everybody else is a convert, and because you are more associated with Europeans and you could fit in, you mentioned that people didn't know you was Jewish because of your last name. I could never pass for a white guy if I changed my name to Bob, right? I could never pass that. I could have, people know, yeah, I'm Dominican, I'm middle, something, I'm not white. But what I'm saying is, my friend, when you start saying that, and it's something that people are not agreeing with you, people are not agreeing that they are not black Jews. Because in the same way your skin is a little lighter, and there's evidence, because I had spoken to rabbis and said, yeah, the ancient Israelite was much darker, but we integrated and we became a little lighter. So if that's the case, why is that not the case also with, I get a call, but I'm not taking calls right now. Why is it too hard to imagine that now you have ancestors that look different, right? Because look at this. Look at how this could be a beautiful thing. If you have Jews or people claiming to be descendants of Israel in every nation, right? We could switch it around and say, hey, we got a chosen people in every nation, so every nation will have that to unite them. Versus fighting who the F is a Jew because we can't prove it. We can't prove it.
All right. You mentioned to me in a previous conversation that we had about receipts. You want to bring receipts.
Yes.
All right. So let me bring some receipts.
Yes.
All right. Can I do that?
Yes.
Okay. DNA evidence.
I got receipts to rebuke that.
Hold on.
That's not true. That's not true.
Wait, can I finish, please?
Go ahead. Okay. Let me show you a video.
Wait, can I finish?
Yes.
DNA evidence indicates a very close similarity between the communities that I mentioned earlier, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Yemenite.
That's a claim.
Right? Much closer than the surrounding communities. Now, you can ask, how is it that they're so similar when Ashkenazi Jews lived in Europe and Yemenite Jews lived in Yemen? and Sephardi Jewry lived in the Arab countries of today.
Okay.
And they didn't visit each other. How did they have such similar DNA?
Okay.
Because they came from the same place.
Yes.
Which is the land of Israel.
Yes, but
hold on. That's one receipt. Another receipt would be language. The language that the European Jews spoke, Yiddish, 20% of the words were Hebrew words.
Yes.
All those the tribes that you mentioned.
Yes.
I would love to see what percentage of the words that they spoke were Hebrew words.
Yes. I could show you. Yes. Everything that you're telling me, everything that you're telling me, I could show receipts. A,
but
B, but I'm going to go back to the DNA. Well, you haven't shown me anything in it. You just saying, you're just talking. But let me push back on you. Let me push back on this DNA. This is what they did. Yeah, but let's go one receipt at a time. And I want to see the receipts. There are 2 Jewish scientists in Israel today. I have to get the name. And PJ, if you got the name, show it to me. Right? Well, let me go back to the DNA, first of all. This is what they did. They took DNA from all Jewish people. And nothing really came up there. What happened is they began to look at Jewish people with the last name Kohanim, which means the priest, Aaron. Cohen, exactly. Or if you had so it wasn't every Jewish person had the DNA of Jewish people. That's not true, and I could show you a receipt. That's not true.
Can I give you my receipt?
A certain percentage of Jewish people that had the name Cohen had a Shemitic DNA.
Can I give you my receipt?
And what happened is they matched that DNA with other Jewish people in other part of the world, like in the Middle East, and they got a match, right? But what about the other? Because I believe it was, and there's debated argument, there is 20% within the Jewish community have Shemitic DNA. The other 80 did not.
Can I give you my receipt?
Yes. But is it true, though? What I just said, is it true? How much percentage of the people did not have that Cohen and DNA?
Can I read what I wrote?
Yes.
I took notes.
Yes.
Right? The genetic composition of Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Yemenite Jews shows significant amounts of shared Middle Eastern ancestry. According to geneticist Doron Bahar, this is consistent with historical formulation of Jewish people as descending from ancient Hebrews and Israelites of the Levant. Dr. Harry Oyster says that all major Jewish groups show a common Middle Eastern origin. Nick Wade, not a Jewish name, by the way, Ashkenazi and Sephardi have roughly 70% of their genomes is Middle Eastern. Okay, 2 communities are seen.
I gotta get those receipts. I got it. Listen, I got it because I spoke. I gotta get those. I wasn't going into DNA today, but there are other scientists that are disagreeing with those findings. And
I'd like to see who they are.
Yes.
Yes. I'd like to see how they line up with the ones that I have.
Right.
All right. But that is just the genetic information.
Right. But,
by the way, I have many notes in this.
But what I'm saying, but the genetic information, right? Let's analyze this, right? Let's analyze this for the genetically speaking. Within the Jewish race itself, right? There do admit that there is some. Oh, I think I got some over here. Hold on.
Give me names.
Pete, do me a favor. I know you said this before, and I should have had it up because I wasn't going into the DNA stuff. Send me the DNA stuff that we were talking about on my phone. I appreciate it. What I'm saying is this, is that there are scientists in Israel today. There was a guy, I forgot the guy's name, and there was a lady too that came to the same conclusion that 40% of the Jewish population are actually Ashkenazi Turkish stock, not of Jewish stock. And the only population within the population that they did the testing, it wasn't the entire Jewish people. It was the people that have the last name Kohanim. And then within that group, you had a Shemitic DNA. And I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to say, okay, that's like looking at all the Dominicans and say, we're going to only do DNA with the Dominicans that have the name Rodriguez. But that's only 20% of the population. What about the other 80%? And I think what's happening is that there is a pressure for European Jews to be in a scenario that to sustain their ancestry to go back to Israel, and it's problematic. Some of you can be, some of you are not. Some of you.
I'm challenging you. Go online, read about it, study. The vast majority of geneticists.
I disagree. I disagree.
There might be one crazed.
No, it's not. No,
the vast majority agree with me.
We're gonna have to do some research on this because
I've done it.
No, we have to present the evidence because I will have to see the numbers of the population because all the articles that I have read, right?
I've read them too.
I have read is that they only did a DNA percentage on when they did a Y scope. The first evidence was that there was no link, but then they did a second one. And they showed that there was a link specifically with the population that have the name Coedim.
That was a sub research.
That was the reason. Well, I will have to see that because from all my research, I see that there is a mixture. There's a mixture. Some do have genetic of going back to Israel or going back to the Middle East, and some don't.
I've never seen that research.
I'm gonna show you that research. And let me say this.
I think there's one guy who might say that, but
there was the female and there's another one. There was actually I wish we would have gone to the subject, and maybe we could do this part too. There was a political person that was running for office in Israel, and he was trying to get rid of or using the Ashkenazi Russian Polish people claiming to be descendants of Jews because they knew that history, that population still exists. In Ukraine, the president, he's Jewish. He's a descendant of the Khazarians.
He is, but he's not Khazarian, my God.
But what I'm saying is, listen, there's too much evidence out there, my friend.
I'll tell you.
Listen.
Let's talk about it.
I have done in length. I know what you're going to tell me. You know what you're going to tell me? Watch. You're going to say, yeah, the Khazar converted, but it was very little. It was, and we don't know what happened to them. They just disappeared. We don't know. They could have been the Karaite Jews and they wander off. Now, when you look at all the other narrative, it says that Khazar became a Jewish state.
No.
Now,
no recognized historian says that.
No recognized historian.
Other than your friend Shlomo Zund. And Kessler, who was not a historian at all. He was not a historian.
But what I'm saying is, what is the data that they brought out? What I'm saying is, there is an argument. There's an argument. You may not say it's serious, but to these guys it's serious to them. These guys may say, you're not even a historian. Who are you? You're a school teacher. You get what I'm saying? The bottom line is, step out of yourself.
Researched it.
Step out of yourself. So have they They wrote books about it. Bestseller.
I've read books.
Yeah, me too. The point is, we have to get away from ourselves and realize, you know what? There's an argument that some of us are not Jews. There's an argument that all of us are Jews. There's an argument that some of us are Jews. You have to live with that because you get yourself a early heart attack fighting this thing because you guys already have the land of Israel. So I have spoken to Jewish people, it's like, yeah, I don't think I'm descended from the tribe of Israel. I think I'm a mud. And that's okay too. And that's okay too. They themselves don't know.
They're
going to say the same thing about you.
I've studied it. They haven't.
How do you know they haven't studied it?
I'll tell you. No, it's very interesting to me. When I watch the videos of the Black Hebrew Israelites stopping a Jew on the street, the Jew doesn't know how to defend himself because he doesn't know this information.
Yeah, no. Yes, I understand. Listen, what you have done is this. Listen, what you have done is this. You cherry pick information like most people do.
Not.
Listen, we all do it. I used to do it.
But I'm not doing it.
What I'm saying, and when people used to accuse me, I was like, I'm not doing it. The bottom line is always going to be people that are against what you're saying, and there's going to be people against what I'm saying. And we could argue until the cows come home. But the bottom line is there is sufficient evidence for both arguments. There's sufficient arguments for yours, and it's really for mine. If you're going to say no, you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution.
All right. Well,
and I think what it is like we would not dare. Okay, we have a pretty good idea. It's asinine for us to think that we're going to know that people that are brown complexion and they will travel throughout the four corners of the world, that they will not have different phenotypes? Huh? And all historians, we talk about not only outside the Bible, right? It talks about Jews being, there was one guy that he was traveling to China and he found a group in somewhere in the Middle East, even listen, the Jewish Encyclopedia is saying that the Jews of Morocco were dark-skinned and of African Negro types.
North African, not West African.
But it doesn't. But my friend,
it does matter.
That's not the point I'm trying to here. What I'm saying is, you even have Jewish historians saying, yeah, we have evidence of black Jews in Africa.
I want to see it.
Hebrewism in West Africa is another book written by one of your colleagues. It came up to the same conclusion. There actually is a movement now. Like, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share this screen. I want you to listen to this. This is Rabbi Harry Rosenberg.
Oh, please stop.
Okay, so he's wrong. See, that's
he is wrong. He's
my friend. You're not.
I've heard him.
Yes.
He doesn't.
Listen,
I've heard him.
Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Regardless whether you disagree with him or not, right? He probably has his own receipts, right?
The next guy you're going to bring up after him is this guy Rudy Rock, whatever his last name is.
I don't know. I don't know who he is, right? And there was another guy. Oh. There's guys, but can you? Okay, so this is what I'm trying to. And your ideology is exactly what I'm trying to combat. Anybody who disagrees with you, he's an idiot. He's a moron. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I am right.
I never said that, Jabbar. I never said that.
Well, you didn't say that, but your language is saying that. And my friend,
Jabbar, I already said to you 10 minutes ago
that
I accept 100% as being 100% Jewish converts. African American converts. We have one in our community is a wonderful man.
You know what you just
Jewish,
you know what you just said there? The equivalent of a white guy saying, "No, I got black friends." My friend.
No.
Listen, my friend.
I'm saying
my friend.
The Jewishness of anyone who converts halakhically.
Yes. That's not the point. That's your religion. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about ethnic people of a bloodline here. Right?
Correct.
And what I'm saying is, and I want to bring it back to today, right? In regards of what's going on with Ye and the basketball player.
Right.
Irvin, right? They come across this information, right? Mr. Rabbi Rosenberg, you say you don't like him, you don't say he's wrong, right? Blah, 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 right? And if he sits down with you, he's going to say, no, you're wrong. There are black Jews. And he's going to give you some sources, right? And you're going to give me your sources. Okay. We all got sources. Let's put our peanuts in our pants. Now, we don't agree. Okay, now what? The bottom line is this. You're never going to convince me that my ancestors don't go back to Israel. And I'm not going to convince you that you probably are a product of a conversion.
You're not going to convince
exactly.
me of that at all.
Okay, let's put that aside now. Let's put it aside. Now what?
That's for you. You're the person who's saying that you want to be considered a Jew.
No.
Wait a minute, hold on.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. You were not born. You did not grow up thinking you were Jewish. This is something that came to you recently, I imagine.
Well,
all right,
in my 20s.
I did. Wait, you don't have the receipts. I have the receipts. I grew up Jewish.
Yes.
I was the one who heard anti-Semitic comments, not you.
Yeah.
Okay, I had family who was killed in
the Holocaust. Yeah.
So you can't say, well.
So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. So let me get this straight. So my family, which they go back to the Sephardic Jews of Spain.
Can you prove that?
Yes, absolutely. right?
All right, then
And what I'm saying is, right? Do you believe that the Sephardic Jews got kicked out of Spain?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you believe that there were all the records of how the Spaniards used to describe them? Right? There's a book. Let me get this book. Let me see if I could share this thing. Let me share this with the audience real quick. There's a book right here, right? You probably cannot see it, but I could send it to you. It's called The Natural History of Man by Edwin Harris, right? Page 132. It says, the Jews of Portugal were very dark. Jews as it is well known have been spread through early times through the centuries, right? And it goes into they spread into India, China, and different parts of the world. Folks, I'm not taking any phone calls right now. Hold tight. I'm going to be taking phone calls in a few minutes. Okay. Now, this historian right here, right? He goes into showing that the Jews, and I wish you could see this because this dude looks like my effing uncle, bro. This guy looks exactly like my family. So you cannot take that away from me. Because I understand, yes, you were born with the identity of Jewish people, but there were other Jewish people in other parts of the world. Okay? And what you need to understand, when somebody comes up and look at the information and say, wait a minute, I didn't write this. Edwin wrote this. He's a historian too. Doesn't his book deserve respect as well? And what I'm saying is, listen, my friend, you have to get away from this. I need to see it because I'm not waiting for your approval.
Well, you are though, aren't you?
No, I'm not. What I'm saying, you call me, right? You wanted to call me.
I know, because you asked for
exactly because I wanted to have a conversation with a Jewish guy because there is tension now because guys like you want to fight back against the evidence and say everybody's a convert except me, instead of saying, you know what? Let me accept the possibility there were other Jews, and also let me respect their journey, their process of becoming a Jew. Now, and another thing, there is no other place in the world, no other group outside of the Ashkenazi community
in
Europe. No. I'm about to say something. You understand what I'm saying? There is no place outside of the Ashkenazi European, Eastern European community of this big elephant in the room. You can find it in the people claiming to be Jews in China, in India, in Yemen, and in the Middle East, in Africa. No other place. We don't have any records of any Khazarian Roman converts recorded in history. I know you say only a little bit converted. I get it. I'm not here to argue, but the bottom line is the Igbos don't have that elephant in the room with them. The Ashantis don't have that. The Ethiopian Jews don't have that. The Indian Jews don't have that. You guys are the only one that has that history. And not only do you have that history in your own records, many of the
we accept conversions.
No,
we do accept conversions.
I know you do, but what I'm saying is, my friend, you need to start looking at the world from a different perspective. If people are saying, okay, there was some conversion going on. We don't know what happened with the Khazar and what they turned off. There's a theory here, there's a theory there, but we don't know, right? There were many rabbis, sages that were known converts. Did they have children? Did their children have children? So what I'm saying,
yes.
So what I'm saying is that if you're holding on to this thing, I'm the only bloodline Jew.
Yep.
We don't have that. The Sephardic Jews, we don't have that. There was
yes, they do.
The Sephardic Jews in Spain go back to biblical times.
Yes, they do. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
So they don't have that thing over them about being converts because
they would say the same thing that I'm saying to you.
No, but what I'm saying is they're not here, right? They're not here speaking to you. What I'm saying is I'm just telling you, my friend, is that the only people that got this big elephant in the room about conversion is you guys. So you should shut the hell up about you being a Jew.
The Sephardic Jews that
you may be
Israel,
a Jew,
as you know,
you may be a Jew.
Sephardi.
You may be.
They agree with me.
No, what I'm saying is, I spoke to those Sephardi. There's a large movement of Latino Jews waking up and raising up and say, wait a minute, we have been ignoring this, that we have Jewish ancestry and connections, and we need a piece of the pie. And let me tell you, my friend,
I knew it. That's what it always comes down to.
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly.
That's what you said. I didn't say it.
No, but exactly. Said. But what I'm saying is, if you took the claim after World War II, it said the Jewish people in Germany need their own land. Okay. In the beginning,
Zionism started way before that.
I know that around World War time. I understand it, but the concept, but Hitler gave you guys like an excuse. You see, we need our own land, right? And then after that, it was a discussion. We could maybe go to Africa. We could go here. We could go there. And the reason why that is because the Jewish people, when you go into history in Europe, okay, the tradition of ancestry, of father to son white chromosome was lost. That's why you guys went with the mother. And it was usually master, rabbi, and student. You guys continued the teachings, the lessons, but you did not continue the bloodline. And the point it could be proven beyond reasonable doubt. Yes, I do believe some of you guys are Shemitic.
We're all.
No, you're not. That is not true. That is not based on.
Yes, wait,
listen,
hold on.
Listen, some of you guys do not. So you mean to tell me that every single Jew that got the DNA came up to Israel? There was no Jew to say, "Yeah, I think you go back to Ukraine."
Wait, hold on. I'm just talking to you about DNA tests of Ashkenazi Jewry, okay?
Yes.
Because I can do Sephardi too.
No, Ashkenazi, Sephardi. I'm not talking about Sephardi because I come from. I do believe Sephardism do come from the Middle East. They have more Middle Eastern. Yeah, Ashkenazi.
So do Ashkenazi.
Yeah, they do, my friend. But what I'm saying, some of you are a part of a convert, and that's okay to say that.
Okay, listen. I spent much of today when I got back from work, knowing that this subject was going to come up, doing research. Okay. All the major geneticists say, I'm just talking about Ashkenazi now, okay? 70 to 80% of Ashkenazi DNA is Middle Eastern in origin, okay?
I will have to see. Show me the article. I will have to see the article. I will have to see the article because I will have to show me the article that it said that I will have to see how many Jewish people did you ever take your DNA?
Can I?
Did you ever take your DNA? Did you ever take your DNA? You ever took your DNA?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so how you say 80% of Jewish people, you haven't taken the DNA?
Can I give you a name to look up? Doron Bahar.
Right.
Doron.
Yes.
Behar.
It was. I know that name. That's the guy who did the Kohanim DNA.
No, not just the Kohanim.
Okay.
Others.
Okay. Yes, but he noticed that people with it. It was what he did. It was either the Kohanim. And what he knows, that lineage had Shemitic DNA. And he began to explore that and say, if you have a tradition within your family that you was Kohanim, I want to take your DNA too. And he found some genetic situation. 80% of a small group doesn't mean 80% of Jewish people, my friend. Because like I mentioned, if you take only the Dominicans with Rodriguez DNA, that doesn't represent the other Dominicans that don't have the name Rodriguez.
Can I give you another name?
Yes.
Nick Wade.
Yes. It's all the same thing, my friend.
Not a Jewish last name.
It's all the same situation. They are focusing on that and at the Kohanim DNA. Now that Kohanim DNA, let me just say
not Kohanim. By the way, I happen to be a Kohen.
Right.
But I'm not talking about that right now.
Right, but you haven't taken your DNA, but you can compete for yourself.
No, what I'm trying to convey,
and let me also say this, right? Within your own Jewish writings, right? It states that Romans, right, come from the lineage of who?
Esau.
Esau. Thank you. Esau is Middle Eastern, my friend. You had Roman converts like Uncleus.
Yes, you
Jonathan.
did. Yes,
so
you did.
if you got Middle Eastern DNA, that doesn't prove anything.
But 80, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? If there was an influx of Romans converting, and that's what Shlomo was saying.
But Romans are not considered Middle Eastern. Romans are considered European.
Listen,
that's why
I know they are considered 80%. European, but what I'm trying to convey is they had done DNA on Europeans, and you could also trace their DNA back to the Middle East. The Aryans. The Aryans goes back to India, the Middle East. Most European go back to the Middle East.
Right.
So if you got Middle Eastern DNA, you're not proving anything.
That's one proof, not the only one.
And the only reason why you're holding on to that, listen, the only reason why you're holding on to that, because Arthur Kessler was trying to say that you guys are not Middle Eastern. He was wrong on that part. There is Middle Eastern lineage of you guys, but to try to prove that you guys are the Middle Eastern descendants out of Israel, that's extremely hard, unless we take a time machine and we go back and say, and go back to Moses' time, take his DNA, Abraham, all of them. That's the only way to find out. This is all.
It's not only that, though. It's not only that. It's also language.
Yes.
It's also language.
Yeah, language.
Word, as I just said to you, with Sephardim it was Ladino, with Ashkenazim it was Yiddish.
Yeah.
20% of Yiddish words were in Hebrew, Hebrew words.
Yes.
With Hebrew lettering. Hold on. Hebrew lettering.
Yes.
Cannot say that about any of the African tribes. It does not exist.
Well, no, I disagree with you.
And wait a minute, I'm not done yet.
I disagree with you. I would disagree with you.
Wait, can I finish?
Yes.
Traditions that come from the land of Israel. For example, praying in the direction of Jerusalem.
Yes.
That was something that can only be found among Jews, Ashkenazim, Sephardim, and Yemenites. You won't find that among any other people.
I will have to disagree with that, but I could show you. Get the book, Hebrewism in West Africa. Hebrewism in West Africa. And what I'm saying is, my friend, right? So what you're saying is this, right? These little things that these people were doing, right? It's like this, right? When you look at the tradition of the Ashanti, the Lumba, and the Falashin Jews in Africa, their tradition varies a little different. But it's all, they may sacrifice a little different. They may pray a little different. But they'll have a general Judaism type of practice, right? They don't eat pork. They don't drink the blood out of the animals. They do pray to the east. I could show you evidence of that and things of that nature, but they do things a little different. When you have a culture that is been spread into the four corners, there's evidence, even a story as far as China, it's going to get diluted. And what I'm saying, my friend, is this, is that when you look at the claims been out there for a long time. And therefore, when people of color start seeing these claims and start realizing that it's nothing new, because you know how many times I have spoken to somebody to tell me that the origin of black Hebrew Israelite or African American believing that they're Jews started with these black Hebrew Israelites? It did not. They represent the frustration of it. Because there's
I have my own theory about that.
So what I'm saying,
I have my own theory.
But what I'm saying is, my friend,
can I tell you my theory on that?
Yeah, I want to hear your theory. But what I'm saying is, my friend, is this: we have people talking about this. John Bigelow talked about it. He saw a community of black Jews in Jamaica in the Caribbean. What happened to them? They got assimilated to the Catholicism? They lost their identity? Is that crazy to think that? And then when you start getting ignored, when you start getting dismissed, you know what happens, my friend? Those with glass houses should not be throwing stones. So we start looking into your. So now,
your community is the one who's throwing the stones.
No, but what I'm saying, but this is what I'm saying, brother. This is what I'm saying. If you fighting this, listen. Let's accept all of it as illegitimate argument.
It's easy for you to say.
It's not.
You're the one who's on the outside looking in.
I'm not outside looking in because I'm not looking for your approval. I don't want to go to Israel because according to my book, I believe that Israel is going to go through a judgment. I feel sorry for people that are in Israel today because as quiet as it's kept, the reason why you guys are there is not because America loves Jewish people so much. No. America always wanted to advance into the Middle East. They need an excuse. They needed an excuse. So therefore, they create this illusion that we really believe these European Jews are the people of God, fulfilling prophecy. And you got, with all the respect, dumb Americans falling for that. With all the respect, dumb Jewish people falling for that and thinking it's a miracle from God, but we are all pawn of a much larger understanding. That's why I feel sorry for Jewish people and what's going on over there in Israel, holding on to something that is part of a political scenario. Because if America decides to walk away, or if the American dollar collapses, I would hate to see what's going to happen to the state of Israel.
Right. I want to say two things. First of all, I want to say it again. I said it a few minutes ago. I very much, truly, one man to another man, I respect the way that you're conducting this discussion. You've been very respectful, truly. And I know that you feel passionately about it, as I do as well. And so I want to take a step backwards and say thank you again for having this discussion.
You're welcome.
In terms of, I do believe that God, I do believe in that, and I believe that Jews will continue to come to Israel, and I believe that we're in a process. This is what I was trying to explain to Deacon and to Gorilla 2 years ago. The Messianic process it's a process. It doesn't come. It's not in one day, and it started. I would argue, 120 years ago, when Jews started coming back to the land of Israel in large numbers, because there was always a Jewish community in the land of Israel, and it's continuing. Wait, what else was I going to? I can't remember what else I was going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this, my friend, and I knew this is. I wish I had a recording. I should have recorded this a good about 10 years ago. Because when I realized that a lot of people waking up to this thing that people, the Jews and they were dark, blah, blah, blah. Now, because I know you believe. Now, let me ask you a question. All these historians that did these journeys in Africa in the 10th century, the Muhammad guy, the Catholic guy, that went and say, hey, we found some Jews. So you believe they were a part of conversion, those people that they found, right. Or you think they just made it up?
One or the other. Certainly there are no communities. We know there are no communities. Again, the Ethiopian community, whose Jewishness we do accept, I believe that they are considered to be converted Jews who converted. Ultimately.
Right. I know, right, exactly.
But there were no communities of Jews in West Africa. That for sure.
I will have to.
There may have been individuals, but no communities.
My friend, this is going live. You are dead wrong, bro.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
When you look at the invasion of Islam, look at all the writings of Islam and who they conquered in Africa. They conquered Jews. There was
North Africa, not West Africa.
In Africa, and you got migration, my friend. Migration. People don't stay in the same place. Yes, what I'm saying.
I want to see proof. But I know that's Windsor. Windsor talks about that. He used no sources, by the way, for that.
That's not true, but because he used other books.
No sources. There are no sources in his book at all.
But let's put Windsor out of the equation. Hebrewism in West Africa. Okay. It was sources. You got. Let me see here. Let me go here.
But I wanted to say something else.
Go ahead. Finish your thought, because I want to talk about this thing.
I feel. Tell me, you were in ICUPK. I think some of this stems from self-hatred.
From,
and I feel very bad about that.
Self-hatred from who? Hating that we don't want to accept that we are not Jews. We are African
heritage.
Yeah, okay.
And you should be proud of it.
Yeah. I have heard that spill since the 90s.
You should be proud of it, man.
Since the 90s. Listen, black people don't trust white people. Listen to me. It sucks.
Okay.
Right. It's like we need to see the evidence for ourselves because we don't trust white people. And you can't blame us for being hesitant for the history that came down, because there was writings saying that black people was a step above a monkey and the white man was superior.
That's horrible.
Right? Yeah. Very, very horrible. There was writings, even with the Talmud, right? With the Talmud. Many rabbis in the medieval time talking negative about black people. So what I'm saying is, I understand that you want to separate yourself from the white population. For people of color, we don't trust none of you Europeans. And I'm begging and pleading and hoping to seek of your humanity and maybe start saying, you know what? I understand why people of color don't trust European. And I know you want to be different, but, you know, I'm not saying I don't trust people because I got white friends and I trust. I'm just generally speaking. When it comes to these things, I don't think you guys want to let go. Let me explain why. When the Romans convert to Christianity, they didn't enjoy a religion because Christianity, when it first started, it started by Jews, right? And it got diluted by some form of European version of itself. And what's the first thing that they began to do? They began to distance themselves from the Jews. We want nothing to do with the Jews. They killed Christ, blah, 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 right? And we are not the new chosen people. It's not the homeland, but it's St. Petersburg or Spain. You know, Rome is and the Pope is the vicar of Christ.
But you guys are doing the same.
Yeah, but listen to what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this: white people, doesn't matter whether you come from the east, the west, the north. You got this thing about you guys that you want to just take over shit. And the same thing applies with Judaism. You just want to take over shit. Everything is mine.
How would you feel? Wait a minute. How would any ethnicity feel?
Yes.
Someone who does not belong to that ethnicity.
Yes.
Suddenly comes and says, "Hey,
but dude,
I'm part of that ethnicity."
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to me. Most guys like you.
Bring receipts.
Listen,
man.
most guys like you that grew up in Boston won't give a damn about what happened in Ireland or 10,000 years ago or what have you. They just Bostonites. A guy from the Bronx, they don't care. The problem with you guys is that you're claiming to be the people of this book called the Bible. You can't get offended if people are questioning because you're claiming to be people that existed thousands of years ago.
I have the receipts.
Yeah, but listen, people have receipts too that disagree with you. And that's what I'm saying. We all have to humble ourselves and realize it's not that you're somebody's, it's not like the Irish standing up in the Puerto Rican like, yo, we Ireland too. Or no, took the cojones. You have the cojones to say, yeah, our people are the descendants of the people who wrote this book, this Bible. That's only causing trouble. That's only because, first of all, you can't prove it. As much as you say prove it, DNA doesn't mean shish kebab.
DNA,
language. Let me tell you something.
Language, history, traditions.
Yes, but all that is true. But the reason why that is shots because you have people in Africa doing the same tradition you were doing, a little different. But you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna pick out the little difference. The little difference. Oh, the language is, but because guess what? There's a lot of Latin, a lot of Spanish language that it goes back to the Middle East. There's a lot of African language that goes back to the Ashanti. The word Ashanti is Hebrew.
With Hebrew letters? Did they use Hebrew letters?
Exactly. With Hebrew letters, he goes the white man again. He goes the white man.
What a white man.
Stop this nonsense. Stop this.
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but that's how I'm looking at you, my friend.
Well, you're looking at me wrong.
What I'm saying is this, my friend. This culture doesn't belong only to you. It belongs to the world. It got out. It's too much. Listen, everybody's going to argue. Everybody's going to argue about this until the sun goes home. The bottom line is any race that takes on the identity that we are the people that wrote the Torah is going to get some criticism because we're talking about thousands of years. Thousands of years.
Get over it. As
yeah.
You said.
What I'm saying is,
get over yourself.
No, but yes,
I'm saying to you, get over it.
Yeah, I am getting over it in the sense that we have to stop with these dumb arguments because this is the conclusion what we've seen on the violence, the hatred, the tension between blacks and Jewish people. That if Jewish people say, wait a minute. We may disagree with some evidence. There's some Jewish people that disagree with you, right? Like this Harry Rosenberg guy, right?
He's not a serious.
Yeah, he's not a serious. He's an idiot. He's a moron. We have to stop that. Regardless what it is, my friend. Regardless what it is, he disagrees with you. And the bottom line is this. We could take this opportunity of putting that thing to the side of who is a Jew and who is not. And we could say to ourselves, okay, maybe this is a good thing that we could turn this around for a positive scenario. Now, for me, I'm not looking to become a citizen of Israel. I'm not looking to be a citizen of that state because it's a secular state. And I don't believe according to the Torah and the prophecy that the children of Israel are going to go back and get their land and be doing exactly the same thing that they were doing before. Israel is a secular world. The only and the biggest gay parade in the Middle East, my friend, is in Israel. And we all know what the Bible says about that. So I can't rock with that. I'm dealing with spirituality and coming together with the understanding of saying, you know what? Maybe we could have some common scenario in regards of like, okay, we're going to argue about who's the Jew until the cow comes home. Me personally, I believe there's arguments for everybody. I believe that when you look at DNA and how it evolves, when you mix yourself with other races, it gets complicated. And I think DNA, and I would challenge this to the state of Israel and every Jewish person. Okay, you want to hold on to this DNA? Let every person who converts who let DNA be a record set for you to become a citizen of Israel. See what happens. So F out of here with this DNA nonsense. Because it's objective. It's objective. You point out 80%. Yeah. Listen, it's objective. It's objective. It's theoretical.
Okay.
It's theoretical. And like I said, that 80% could have come from Idumeans. Oh, by the way, that you have in your records too that many of the Idumeans converted to Judaism, and they're Shemitic.
Right. Yeah. I said we accept
exactly. So what I'm saying is this, my friend. Okay. Yeah, if I'm open to say some of the people of Africa that are being claiming to be Jews could be a part of a convert, they. In India, China, they. But to say all of them, F out of here with that nonsense, bro. F out of here. That's racism. That's elitist.
No.
That's elitist.
No.
And
Where was
racist.
Judea? Where was Judea located? Where was it? In the land of Israel. Where is the land of Israel located? In the Middle East.
No, Northeast Africa. Who came up with this Middle East bullshit name? Come on. Another white man.
No, it's from the American perspective.
So the bottom line, look at all the artifacts of Israel.
I have.
They were all people of color.
No.
Nimrod. Where was Nimrod? Where was Nimrod in the biblical time in Iraq? Who's Nimrod? The father of who? Who was his father? Ham.
Nimrod from the same.
He was a Hamite, right? He would be considered an African. So it's called migration. Migration. So just because people are there today, they look a certain kind of way, they migrated from Europe, doesn't mean it was always that way.
There's no historical evidence at all, and you know this.
That's not true.
Because you're very smart.
No, there's no historical what? Of what?
West Africa moving up to the land of Israel. You know that.
That's not true.
Smart.
Listen. You want to see the evidence? You want to see the evidence? It was simple. There has been historians going to Africa and say, hey, look, even in Jewish historians, we found some people claiming to be Jews. It's ridiculous. How could black Africans be Jews? And they keep saying that same thing, right? They could be lying. They say, you know what? You know that rabbi Jewish guy that came by a few years ago? We like his religion. We just convert and make believe like we him. Okay, that could be true. Oh, that could be true. But we would not dare. And what thing I refuse and I will always fight is to respect the indigenous culture and people that have been keeping tradition from father to son in Africa, in the Middle East, in China. Hear them! Hear them and respect them. And stop saying, well, let me look at your tradition. Well, you say this, we're a little different. You don't say it like us. Oh, you must be a convert. That's elitist and a little racist.
Not racist.
A little bit. Listen, we're all a little racist. I'm a little racist. Everybody's a little racist. We have to just cap it and understand that, you know what? Sometimes we're biased for our people. Sometimes I want my daughter to marry somebody with my own complexion. If she marries somebody else and yada, 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 it's one of those things. Yeah, I got to deal with it. But everybody's a little racist. Everybody's a little biased. In the real world, listen, my friend, in the real world, in this television world, everybody's politically correct. But the Italians are looking out for the Italians. The Irish is looking out for the Irish. The Jewish people looking out for the Jews. The Dominicans are looking out for the Dominicans, and so forth, so on. And even in a weird kind of way, now more than ever, but it was lacking in the past, even African American looking out for African Americans. Everybody's a little racist. We have to acknowledge that. Stop thinking we're above it all. And what I'm saying, my friend, when you look at this information, I could send you this information, blah, 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 so forth, so on. You're going to deny it, this and that. But other people are going to look at that and be like, yo, I didn't know this. Why is this not being promoted? Why is this not, being broadcast in white America? You see what I'm saying? And that's the mind of a person of color. And now we're looking at this information and we're getting pushback. We're getting pushback. And that's where the hate comes from. And what I'm trying to do is I want both sides.
It comes from self-hatred.
Yeah, that's a theory. That's been out there. You don't want to be Africans. I don't want to be. It's a theory, right? It's a theory.
I think it's
well, a theory and truth is two different things, right? It cannot.
Okay, you're right. I don't know for sure.
You don't know. You can't. Unless you get into people's minds.
Yeah, no,
right?
I agree.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is this, my friend. The bottom line is that you need to truly understand and appreciate this. When I was 20 years old, and I hear this 1,000 times, it is in a spiritual awakening when a young African-American, Afro-Latino male reads Deuteronomy 28. It is like mind-blowing. Regardless whether you believe it's not connected to your people, that's my people, you need to understand the power of that particular chapter. Because as a young man, when I was a Christian and I started being exposed to history, I was trying to figure out where my people came from, the Dominicans. And for us, we were always mud. Well, you're a little this, Spaniards, Native, African, you're just a mixture of everything, right? Where did the Native came from, right? Where did the Hawaiians and the Mexicans, right? Because they were not mentioned in the Bible, right? The Cubans, the Afro-Latinos, the people that were slaughtered by the Spaniards, right? Where they came from, where they're mentioned in the Bible. And I resented God a little bit for some time. I rebelled against religion a little bit because, when you read there's a book called The American Holocaust, and it's written of all the tragedy that happened to the Native and the indigenous people. Sometimes I have two sides to this thing because I didn't hate white people until I started reading these books. You know what I'm saying? It's like a double edge. Like you don't want to forget about your history, but then when you start reading this history, it really gets you. And another thing that got me, that I was upset, of course, I was not mentioned in the Bible. Like, okay, who were the Native? What's going on? What did happen to them? Why did God allow this to happen to them? In the same way your people said, why did God allow Germany to happen? Right?
Yeah.
That feeling that you feel, we felt the same way.
I hear you.
Shit, man, why? And no reparations. No, we're still seeing the onslaught in the Caribbeans, right? We're just now getting back to some form of independence and really in this world, independence being economic independence, right? Not being dependent on other countries and other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I read Deuteronomy 28, baby, oh my God. It brought me back to God, because prior to that, it's like, I need to understand, why is the Latinos people, the indigenous people, not even mentioned in the Bible? And this happened to us. It saved my life, my spiritual life. So I want you to understand where we're coming from. And yes, that passion could lead into hate and extremism and all that. And I get that. And I'm hoping I'm one of these voices out here that could relate our passion, but bring some peace on both sides. We're never gonna agree, bro, in certain things, and I get that.
Okay.
We could debate about this. You got sources, this and that, yada yada yada, and debating more. And if you see my receipts and I see your receipts, I disagree. It could vest some hate. This damn Jew, this damn Spanish dude, doesn't racist, right? Self-hate. It's just gonna keep us separated. I want everybody to just humble themselves, because in history and discovering, there's always been new discovery that shatters what we previously believe. All the time. Right? And let's just say next week a new DNA comes up, or a new something that will suffice for you, right? Let me put this over here. Right. That will suffice for you. Then you have to readjust everything, right? And the bottom line, to be honest with you, we're not archaeologists. We're just reading books. And I could give you a stack of books that will agree that white people are superior. I could give you stacks of books that black people are superior. I could give you stacks of books, and they all got PhDs. And they all got, but the bottom line, we just guessing. We just making calculated guess as humanity. We don't freaking know what really happened 2,000 years ago. Who was there? It could have been, we could all be the product of converts, and the true blood Israelite got wiped out years ago. And we're thinking, oh, I'm a Judite, I'm a Levite. We don't know, bro. We got to humble ourselves. And I understand your perspective. And now I understand, because you grew up a Jew. Like, what's going on? But you're not, being Jewish is not like being Irish or being Italian or being German. You're claiming that your people are descendants of the people of the book. This book.
So in other words, if I'm right,
unique.
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You're saying if I'm right, then I am bringing this on myself because it breeds jealousy and resentment. Even though we never say that we're better than anybody else. You know that.
No.
Jews never say that. And also, according to Judaism, as you I'm sure know, because you studied this, non-Jews can go to Olam Haba, it's called, the next world, just the same way that Jews can go.
Yeah.
There's no priority. There's no preference. A good man is a good man. That's what we believe. We would never say that. I would never say that a Jew is better than a non-Jew. I would never say that. Okay,
I believe you. But the point is this: is that when we're in a situation that we are only looking to defend our corner, our people, our block, or what have you, we could get diluted and not see the other person. Because when people are fighting, going to war, running towards each other with vengeance and blood in their eyes, both sides feel they're doing good work. Both sides feel like, hey, we got to stop these people because they're going to destroy us. And the other people like, yeah, we got to stop these people because they're going to destroy us. And what I'm saying is, when we're talking about world history and what happened and who was the Egyptian and yada, 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 and blah, 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 and who was the Israelites and who was the Canaanites and who was the Hittites and you notice nobody wants to argue who's the Edomites, right? You notice that, right? No, because in the Bible is recorded that they're gonna be destroyed, right? All the house of Edom is gonna be destroyed, right? And things of that nature. But what I'm saying is, I'm not surprised why there is a group everywhere in the world claiming to be a descendant of Israel. Like a good example, you mentioned the people with Manasseh, right? And you said that they're probably converts. And this is how I look at it. I will look at it. Why will converts take on a tradition that they are a particular tribe? I won't say of insignificance, right? Because the tribe of Jasher is significant, right?
Don, I think Don.
No, they were from the tribe of they claim it to be the tribe of Manasseh. Excuse me, Manasseh.
The Ethiopian Jews?
Not the Ethiopian Jews. I'm referring to the Jews of India. The band. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. They don't have the same DNA either.
Right. But this is what I'm trying to say. That's why we can't hold on to this DNA, because these DNA is tricky. And I could show you, there's been people that, like the Native Americans, threw it out because you had two brothers with the same father, same mother. They both took DNA, and one had Indian DNA, the other one added. How'd that happen? So DNA, I think it's a science that it gives you a generalization, but it doesn't give you a concrete evidence. So we don't know, like, for instance, that's why we have to explore the space. Because if there's a group that is claiming to be a particular tribe for a long time, because even rabbis and other people have done research on that particular tribe, Manasseh in India, claiming to be Manasseh. They've been saying that.
The B'nai Menashe?
Yeah. They've been saying that.
They are converts.
No, but whatever I'm saying, converts. They identify as, well.
They themselves convert, by the way.
They convert to Judaism. Yes, listen, it's a difference.
All right.
It's a difference. You got the bloodline people and you got the religion. These people have a tradition going back to many years of being of the tribe of Manasseh. What I'm saying is, and going back to give the indigenous people respect, and us people in the Western world, we got to DNA, we got, this science. We smarter than everybody, Oh no, you don't fit our narrative, so you got to be something else. We got to be careful with that. We got to listen to the indigenous people. Because this is the thing that drives me crazy. Every historian that gets props for being a great historian, you know where he got his information from?
Where?
Herodotus, all of them. By speaking to the indigenous people and writing it down. Okay. So now we're going to dismiss them? Because it doesn't fit the narrative? Follow me here. So we have to give more respect to indigenous people, because those people, all the historians, because the Greeks are known as the first historians, right? To record things from other people. But what did Herodotus did? What did he do? He didn't do nothing great. He just talked to people and got information. The natives, the locals, the legends. So that's how we know history now is through these indigenous people.
Okay.
So we have to just be a little humble when we hear something. Okay, it goes against the science. They don't have DNA, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It fits our science. But maybe our science is wrong, baby. Because you know why? You know what hasn't been wrong for a long time? A lot of these historians are sitting on the back of these indigenous people reports, and they were good recording it, but it wasn't them experiencing them. They just recording it, and we're giving them all the praises. We're ignoring all the people they got it from. And that's my thing with our Western thinking. We start thinking that we are superior to other people, and we start looking at the world from like, we know what other people. It's like, yeah, you're telling me you're a Jew. You're telling me you're Manasseh. You're telling me you're this. But my narrative, my advancement doesn't tell me that you are, so I'm not going to accept it. You must be this. You must be that. And I got to be honest with you. I think the Jewish people are getting caught up with that a little bit.
You're the one who's making an issue of it.
No,
we don't make an issue of it.
No, not an issue of like. It's like this. It's like this. It's like this.
Can I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said before it engenders resentment, it engenders jealousy, but that's something that we never.
No, but what I'm saying by you saying they convert,
anybody.
By they saying they convert, by you constantly saying they converts, you're disrespecting these indigenous people that, like I mentioned, people that know history got it from them. James Khazar, a big historian, where did he got his information from? The natives, and he wrote it down. And yes, language is a thing. Language evolves. These are all clues, but we got to humble ourselves. We have to just say, listen, it's just clues. We could be all dead wrong.
And traditions.
Traditions.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And guess what?
All of those combined.
Like for instance, there are traditions of fringes in the Middle East. In Iraq, that has nothing to do with the Jewish religion, but
not with a blue.
So people could say, well, you stole it from them, yada yada yada. I believe tradition are similar. Sometimes traditions are the same. It is a clue. It is something to look at. But if you're gonna say, I know, you already lost me. If you say I believe, then I say, okay, I could hear you all day. This whole, that's what I'm trying to convey. And I get it. Maybe you feel threatened because you've been Jewish all your life, and now people are claiming that they're Jewish too. But like I said, we're not. Look at this unique scenario. No one ever is arguing about Russians. I'm Russian. I got history. Look at my father. No one's arguing that because this Bible.
Okay.
It's something different, baby. This thing is this book is it's power. It's a weapon. It could be used as a weapon. So we have to because in that book.
But we don't. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's a good point. But again, the Jews are never the people who make it an issue. The people who make it an issue are the people who don't feel connected to that, and that's not fair. I want to, but that's all right. Whatever. You know my opinion.
And I think what we need to do is we have to pick fences, make good neighbors. I'm trying to get, it's like this. I believe there is legitimate claim. You may not believe it, but there's enough people that believe what I believe, including your boy Rosenberg, that there are evidence of African Americans having descendants of Israel. And there is a belief in Israel of the right of return. If you could prove of you, and it started with mostly for people from the middle. From Europe, but now it has spread to the 10 tribes. There's certain people that believe that the 10 tribes are lost. I know there was a rabbi that says that they're lost forever. There's another rabbi that said no, they're going to return. There's an argument here and that and the other. I'm not a Talmudist. So I'm not going to argue that argument. I believe in the Bible, and I believe that the 12 tribes of Israel are here. They are scattered. We have to investigate with love and not with science necessarily. Not only with science, but with some common sense. Because the bottom line is, I don't see a group of people as the Jews that they've been wrote about and discussed and traveled and migration that they're going to look all the same. I don't believe that. It makes no effing sense to me. None. So yes, if the Jews at one point, I don't believe there were black Africans in the beginning, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But a good example, look at Abraham, right? Abraham had a son, Ishmael, right? Through what? An African woman, Egyptian woman, right? And they produce Arabic people, right? So I do believe that Abraham looked Middle Eastern. But if you look at all the evidence of who did the Jews marry into a lot, were people from Egypt. Joseph's wife was Egyptian princess, right? And then if you have a diaspora of Jews being spread, there was a community in Egypt. Even Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian in the New Testament. You don't subscribe to that, but it could show you an insight of what was going on at that time. Because even if the Bible was made up, right? The New Testament. you will admit there will have to be people that know what the heck was going on at that time and how do people look. And when you look at how the Romans used to look at the Egyptian, they were dark-skinned people.
They were Middle Eastern people.
Yeah, they were Middle Eastern, but they were not Arabs, my friend. When you look at all the paint, Egypt, listen, let's keep it simple. Egypt is the most depicted ancient culture in the history of ancient culture outside of maybe Rome. I think Egypt even have more statues of themselves than even Romans. You could clearly see the Afro-Asiatic look. And that's okay. Not all, but that's okay. And it's not weird to think that if you had a Jew who looked like an Arab marry an African woman, that kid marry another African woman, they're going to look pretty much African. In the same way, you guys could pass for Europeans, right? And you guys view that the Europeans, according to the Talmud, that the Europeans come from the Esau, the Romans, right? Mm-hmm. And you could pass for Romans, but you're not Romans. And maybe some mixing happened. So you're going to look different. And since this DNA is kind of fairly new and it is objective, some people come up with this conclusion, yada, yada. I know I have friends that they take DNA and then one company tells them one thing, the other company tells them another thing. And the DNA needs to be investigated because I think it's a ballpark, but it's not a slum dunk. I wasn't, when this whole Arthur Kessler thing came up and then DNA became a thing, and then the DNA of Shemitic DNA became a thing, I wasn't surprised there would be Shemitic DNA. I wasn't like, oh, that's proof they were Jews. That doesn't prove squat. In the same way, I could prove DNA. I could take DNA. I could show DNA that my family goes back into the Spain about 300, 400 years ago, and then goes back to Africa, and it goes back to North Africa, which is towards Israel. I could prove all that through DNA. My brother took DNA. We done all the Rodriguez was in the north part of Dominican Republic, and that was a hotbed for Sephardic Jews. Matter of fact, the slavery actually happened during the South because when the Spaniards went to the north, they got confronted and they went to the south. But that's a different story. But I'm saying I could tell you this as much as you want, right? As much as my face turned blue. The bottom line is I'm just guessing. I'm taking a calculated guess. In the same way, everybody took a calculated guess. And you have to also appreciate this, that before Zionism was a thing, to be a Jew is to be an Orthodox Jew, as we consider today Orthodox Jew. Every Jew before the birth of Zionism they said, it is the spirit. It is the connection between you and Hashem. That makes you a Jew. They didn't care one iota what tribe you're from, whether you're a Gentile. There's even writings in your books that Hashem looks at Gentile who convert in a much greater light because the Torah was not given to them.
It was before Zionism, I would say.
Exactly.
Around the time of the Enlightenment.
Exactly.
It started to change.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, but at that time, connection to the genetic was not as important, and it is now. And that importance of the genetic of the flesh came from Zionism, not spiritual Judaism.
No, that's not true at all. That's definitely not true.
Okay, so let me ask you a
Jews
question.
are a people. We're not a religion, and we're not we're a people. We're a civilization.
That is a Zionist point of view.
No, it has nothing.
Listen to me. I hear you, and I respect your interpretation in what is a Jew. But there's other Jews that disagree with you. They need to be heard too.
Which ones?
What I'm saying, okay, Jews against Zionism.
They would also agree with me that Jews are a people. We're a nation. They would agree with it. They would say that nation should not go back to the land of Israel until the Messiah comes.
Yes. But what I'm saying is,
they wouldn't say that it's only a matter of faith.
Yes, but it is a nation of spirituality, not of genetics. And the problem happened
also say that to be a Jew, you have to even though they don't believe in Zionism, you have to have a Jewish mother, or you have to be halakha or go through halakha.
Yes. Yeah. And I believe that also the tradition also of going to the mother also kept an issue, because when you look at all the scenario, you have to get a Jewish mother, and I understand the story that you cannot prove if the father was Jewish, but you could prove if the mother's Jewish, and so forth, so on. That itself scream out conversion. That itself screams out invasion of other people taking over, and we're not sure, so we have to do something different. So what I'm saying is, if I mentioned this before, do I believe that all you guys are pro conversion? Probably not. I believe there is some bloodline Israelite within your community, but there are evidence, and it cannot be called anti-Semitic if I said, I think you're a convert. Why? Because you are not considered to be called anti-Ibu if you say, well, they're converts, or anti-Indian Jews. That is a racist towards them, to not respect their claim.
You have to bring receipts.
But their receipts is there been the testimony. You understand? It's like this. I have betted, and I have told Jewish people every time they tell me this, oh no, we got records to prove that we're Jews. I said, could I see them? Oh yeah, I'll get back to you. I never get back to them. I mean, they never get back to me, excuse me. They show, oh yeah, my father and father's father goes back to some Jews or some person claiming to be of the tribe of this or the tribe of that. I would like to see that evidence.
Let me tell you about tribes, because this comes up a lot. Tribal identity ended around after the destruction of the first temple. There were no tribes. That's
my point, my friend.
Yes,
if that tradition was lost, because even in the time of Christ, you have many proselytes.
Jews, but not tribes.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the Torah, right, in the Tanakh, even in the book of Nehemiah, when the Jews were coming back to build the second temple from Iraq, when the king Cyrus declared to go back to the temple, you could read in the book of Nehemiah that certain Jews could not go back because they couldn't prove their lineage through the father. So it was changed later. Congratulations. Because you changed, and the reason why the forefathers, the Jews, the Israelites, kept those records, and it was important to them because they understood their bloodline meant their inheritance. It was important to them. That was lost. So no son of a bitch could come down and say, I know I'm a Jew, unless you show me those records. We're always guessing. And so there was an influx of conversion of Romans. And I know your boy Rosenberg doesn't understand that you don't agree with him, but I'm pretty sure he could show you his receipts.
I've heard him.
That many of the sages were Roman converts. Let me break it down. Let's look at this.
I agree that there were converts.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is this. If you have an institution in Europe that many of the sages, you said many of the sages that we read today, like Onkelos and Jonathan, were actually known converts. If you have Gentiles that not only can convert, but also achieve a high level of status within that religion, it's showing me that religion was taken over by Gentiles.
No.
Because
not taken over.
Because within the tradition of Israel in the Bible, in the Tanakh, there was a priesthood. That priesthood got to be of the Levites. There was a kingship.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, it was important within our tradition to keep those tribes record. You can't find that in Europe. You could find, but guess what? I'm going to be fair. You can't find that in Africa too. You can't find that in Asia too. You can't find it in the Middle East too. Get my point? So none of us could actually say we have a record. And I don't want to hear anything about your mother, because according to the Torah, the Tanakh, the law of Moses, that we all stay proud that we follow, right? Passover, right? The same guy that gave us Passover is the same guy that gave you the genealogy to the Father. So if that was lost,
there's also
let's say
the laws
everybody.
of Passover. The laws of Passover are dictated in the oral Torah, not in the written Torah. In terms of how we celebrate Passover, it's from
Good
the
for
oral
you.
Torah.
Good for you. You
All
kept
right,
those.
so
You keep those traditions. But guess
completely
what?
about-
Guess what? Guess what? Those poor Africans and those poor people from Asia, they also kept those traditions of oral, because according to your traditions, when Jonathan translated the oral tradition, the rabbi, I forgot his name, he ain't supposed to have done that. Remember that? You're only supposed to pass the oral tradition by word of mouth. Prove me if I'm wrong. Thank you.
That was
so
until,
that's
yeah,
so let me get this straight. Let me get this right. Let me get this right. So within your and I believe even Jonathan, I mean even Uncleus got some pushback by writing some of the stuff that he ain't supposed to be writing, but he did it anyway. What's that showing you? That the Jewish people didn't have any real power at that time. They were subject to Gentiles. So when you look at those this took away the Khazarian conversion. Okay, it didn't happen. But when you look at the writings, there was an influx in the same way as Christianity started by Jews and gets taken over by Romans. Guess what, homie? There's also evidence that Romans also took over Judaism.
No,
And
definitely not.
There's no evidence. So Uncleus was not a Roman nephew.
Yes, but he's one man.
I know he's one.
Man,
I know he's one man. But listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
When you talk about the sages and the rabbis,
there is
in the Mishnah and the Gemara,
yes.
most of them were not converts. Very few of them were converts, actually. Very, very few.
Yes, but listen to what I'm saying. When you're dealing with a scenario, who translated the oral laws? Who's that rabbi?
Rabbi Judah the Prince was the one who started the process of
what tribe was he
because
from?
He was afraid that it was going to get lost.
What tribe was he from?
There were no tribes at that point. It was
Thank you. So we don't even confirm that the guy who translated the oral tradition.
Yeah. You said they were converts.
No, listen to what I'm saying. You said that at that time there was no tribe. I asked you what tribe he was from. You don't know. Because there's no conversation whether he was a convert or a Jew. There's no conversation.
No, it's different to say that there are no tribes to say he's a convert or a Jew.
No, because listen to what I'm saying. Listen. The word proselyte doesn't necessarily mean that you're a non-Jew. A proselyte is just someone, because you have certain Jews at that time that they converted back from Greek culture back to the Jewish culture. They will be considered proselytes or conventional or converts. In the same way, Jews from Spain got new conversos, new Christians. So you have to separate the genetics scenario. What I'm trying to convey is that when you look at all the writings and things of that nature of the rabbis in Europe in particular, their tribe was not mentioned. The teacher who taught them was mentioned, or the son of, but not the tribe. Why? When you look at all the writings of it, because that got lost. And we see converts in the mix. And what was the reason why Uncle is converted? What is his uncle told him?
I don't know.
His uncle told him, who was a Caesar, a Roman emperor, whatever, say, convert to something, get into a religion that is not important now, but will be important then. And so he went to different, religion, and he discovered Judaism, and he became a great person in that religion. So let me get this straight. Catholicism was invaded. Christianity was invaded by Romans, because the original Christians were Jews.
No, wait. The Roman Empire converted to Christianity.
Yes, but it took over it
by Constantine's mother, actually.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that they eventually took over it. So So let me get this right. So you think that the Greeks and Romans, who are known for taking over different situations, like when you look at Alexander, what he did when he conquered Egypt and Ptolemy and all those guys, they began to marry within the royal family. Like Cleopatra was not a blood descendant of the Egyptians. She was half Greek, half Egyptian. This is something they are known for. So you think Judaism is going to be off limits? And they did it to Catholicism. They're dealing with Islam. They're dealing with Egyptian religion. They did this. That was the beef with the generals of Alexander, because he began to marry within the different nations. Because their philosophy was Hellenized, like you got to learn other culture and just convert every culture into the Greek language for we can all understand it, because the Greek value ancient knowledge. So there's no taking over of Judaism. It was kept pure. It doesn't make any effing sense to me, my friend.
I'm looking at, do you want to take some phone calls or do you, I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah. We could, if you want to call in 646-450-2013. And what I'm saying is that I believe the Jews are in the Middle East. There's some Judean blood there. We can deny that. But to deny that you're the only guys and the other guys are a part of a convert, I think it's a little elitist. And I think you should embrace all of it. I think it's going to hurt the Jewish people if they start doing this whole canceling culture, because now you're going to associate yourself with the power elite, not the everyday man. We're going to call. Let's grab it.
Call from
Clyde.
Brother Clyde, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
Yeah, shalom. How you doing, Elder Gabar?
Peace. Got a question?
Yeah.
Let's try to be respectful. I know the brother got it's almost 12 midnight in his end. So what's your question, sir?
2:48.
Okay, cool, no problem. So I'm gonna try to keep it brief because I know you got other people. I wanted to know, what is his opinion on, in the Talmud, when you go to Sanhedrin 94, A and 15, it says, the Gemara asks, to where did Sennacherib exile the 10 tribes? It says, Marazutra says he exiled them to Afriki, which is Africa. And then it gives the different areas that they went through in Africa. I wanted to know, what is his opinion on that?
Okay. Those are the 10 tribes. They're not Jews. Jews are from the tribe of Judea. What happens with the 10 tribes, we have no idea. When the Messiah comes, the final Messiah ben David, not Messiah. We believe that we're right now in the time period of Messiah ben Yosef. When the ultimate Messiah comes, then those tribes will come back. If they're from Africa, that's great. No
right,
problem.
but let me ask you, but going back to the receipts, because the brother just brought in some receipts within your writings that there is some evidence that the 10 tribes went to Africa. And within Africa, you got traditions. Hear me out. You got tradition, word of mouth, that they are of a particular family, particular tribe. Some say the Lambites is Levites. You got Joseph. You got other tribes saying, yeah, we're the tradition of the tribe. Within even your own Talmud, the brother just mentioned, that there's some evidence, a suggestion, some historians saying, hey, they went this direction. So what I'm saying, my friend, we don't know. So if
when it comes to the 10 tribes, you're right. We don't know.
Exactly.
Tribes.
So if you don't
My
know,
whole argument is about Jews, not the 10 tribes.
Yeah, but that's kind of elitist too, my man.
No.
I mean, you don't care about the other 11s?
When the Messiah comes, we'll find out then.
Yeah, but isn't that elitist? Because you made it. Oh, you're a Jew, so screw everybody else.
Sorry.
I went for the Messiah.
I'm a Jew.
Yeah, no, but listen to what I'm saying. Isn't that against racist, against your own brothers?
What?
Because you just...
When the Messiah comes, we'll find out then.
Oh, real easy, because you made it, right? You don't think that's fair that all the other tribes need to wait to the Messiah to be recognized as Jews or Israelites? And let me correct you on that. The word Jew, once the northern and the southern separated, the word Jew was anonymous with all the tribes. Because, sir, please do not insult your intelligence and minds. That term Jewish, that term Jew right? I have a
Kingdom of Judea.
Yes,
consisted of
yes.
four
So
tribes.
you either
Wait, let me
yes,
finish.
yes. I know the history, my friend. But
All
that
right.
term, when you cite it, like for instance, Tobit in the Apocrypha, historically, he sided with the side of Jews, of the Judea. So what happened is, did you have certain northern tribe, either that you go with the king of the Samaritans, with Joseph, and they had their own temple, or you side with the Judeans. If you was for whatever tribe, Simeon, Levi, doesn't matter. If you sided with the Judites, you now became a Judean. Encyclopedia say this, even your books say this. So stop. We're fighting with something that's going to be easily proved because you just want to prove a point. The bottom line is the word Jew, you could have been easily from the tribe of Gad and still be a Jew because you sided with the side of Judea, that temple.
No. Gad,
Okay.
I mean, I know where
so you're against
Gad and Reuben were on the other side of the Jordan River. They were washed during destruction.
Majority
there were 4 tribes in the kingdom of Judea.
the majority of them.
Can I tell you which tribes were in the kingdom of Judea?
Yes.
Gabar, I can hear you talking. I can't hear the brother talking though.
You know what it is? I forgot to link up the did you hear what the brother said, Shlomo? The question?
A little bit of it.
Okay,
I heard a little bit.
Okay, so let me do this. You could maybe listen off air about but Shlomo, you heard the question, correct?
What I already answered?
About the Talmud saying that the 10 tribes went to. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'm gonna grab these other phone calls. Thanks for supporting.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Okay. But what I'm saying, brother, can you see how your other tribes, let's just say you are from the tribe of Judah. I'm not gonna argue that. And that's not okay. How can that be said and you not getting any pushback? Because even your other countrymen, like Harry Rosenberg, also believes that we gotta seek the other tribes. There's nothing within the Torah that says that we have to wait to the Messiah. Let's get this call.
From
Sean. Or you ain't picking up.
Okay. Let's try again.
From
Levi.
Okay, shalom, brother Levi. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Elder Gabar?
Great. You know, I didn't connect the Zoom to so he could hear you, but you won't be able to hear him. So you answer your question. You could maybe listen for offline. Appreciate it.
Okay. So, I first will begin with a statement to say, the brother came on today and spoke to the idea that we may have some self-hatred. And I would say, me personally, as a person that found out the information through Deuteronomy 28, like you spoke of, the spiritual awakening, I in no form or in any way would desire to switch places, to switch heritage with these brothers that we see over there today that claim to be the Jewish people. And I also would pose the question today, like, for me, I feel like Elder Gabar, you've proven every point here today. What does this brother think somebody like me that believes we are the true Israelites would have gained from him today? And what will we do moving forward? So with that, I say shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, brother. Okay. And yeah, anything you want to add to that, Shlomo?
No, I mean, I don't know what he would stand to gain from me because I don't recognize his Jewishness. So
right, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is, this is what I'm trying to, this is the danger that I think Jewish people are going to have, because it's like this. Now, Ye got canceled. Irwin got fired.
he got himself canceled.
Right, you got to curse. Well, there's evidence or there's suggestion that this is part of his plan, but that's a different conversation. It still remains to be seen. And this is gonna, mark my words, this is gonna happen within the next 3 years. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I guarantee you it's gonna happen. Another like Ye is gonna say something about I'm a Jew. I don't think those guys up there are Jewish or whatever, or descendant from Israel. Blah blah blah. And then the Jewish defense league is gonna go make some phone calls, and somebody's gonna stand up to you guys. Somebody's gonna listen. Somebody, listen, hear me out. It's coming from love. It's coming from love. They're gonna be like, no, we're not gonna cancel him. And you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna throw your load. You're gonna throw your arguments, and you're gonna lose your power and your prestige, because I do commend the Jewish community for having a good political structure. But now you got to pick your battles, because the minute somebody, we got another phone call. Let's grab there's another phone call.
Call from
Sean.
Brother Sean, you're on the air. The brother could hear you. You won't be able to hear to respond. You could live it offline.
Absolutely.
What you got to add to this conversation?
Absolutely. I think it's been a great conversation. Just the things I wanted to touch on really quickly. Great conversation, great dialogue. I think when it comes to Judaism and when we deal with, who's a Jew and who's not a Jew, I think as we go further back into Israel's history, Jew kind of comes a misnomer as far as the word goes, because you had a couple of things take place during the Maccabean period or during Hellenism, when you had Alexander the Great come in and you start having the different philosophies that started to kick in, the different schools. And one of the things with Israel did, or the Jews did at that particular time, was also start schools as well, and when you start to have this conversion process. Now, of course, we know during the time of Esther, we see the word Jew utilized as well, and you had this big conversion that took place. So basically, what my position in saying all this is, you have some nuance when it comes to going to ancient Israel, let's just say pre-exilic Israel, and how things operated within the theocracy when they were in the land of Canaan, versus what you more so see during the Second Temple period, where you did have conversions. And even within Judaism itself, one that is a convert is not looked at in a negative sense. And in different philosophies within Judaism, you wouldn't necessarily call somebody that converted a convert. You would just look at them as a Jew. Now, when we talk about these different West African tribes, like someone like the Igbo, when you had the historians come in and take a look at far as what they were claiming, they weren't so much claiming to be a Jew as they were claiming to have descendancy from the northern tribes, not so much the southern, and that would look a lot different. So you wouldn't necessarily compare traditions to what you see in the Mishnah, as you would look at in the Torah, when you see the practice of the priests and the sacrifices and things of that nature. So they more so took on the identity of pre-exilic Israel versus that of a post-exilic Israel that started to develop these different traditions that you see with the Pharisees.
That actually makes sense.
Some of these things were rejected by the Sadducees, so on and so forth, or whatnot.
Right.
So again, when you start saying Jew again, that is a tricky thing, depending on the history of when we're operating within the culture of Israel. So again, when you look at some of these tribes, no, they would not be Jews, but they could be tied to ancient Israel or the northern Israelites. Right. And again,
I agree with
the Western African tribe, with the Igbo.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, very good.
I agree with that.
Thank you, brother.
Let me ask you a question? Gabar, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Originally, if the Hebrew Israelites, it was not Jews, it was Hebrew Israelite, like that guy just said.
Yeah.
When did it suddenly become that they were the Jews, that they were the 10 tribes and African Americans?
Well, no.
Jews?
Well, the Israelites, we don't claim that we are only from the 10 tribes. We claim that we are from all the 12 tribes. We believe that the majority of African American come from the tribe of Judah.
When did that start?
That's okay. The breakdown of the tribe of the different tribes came specifically on what is that chapter? Genesis 49. It goes into what's going to happen when Jacob said, "I'm going to sit down, my sons. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to you in the last days. I'm going to be filled in the last days." And he kind of gave them the prophecy what's going to happen to each Pacific tribe, and I think that's how they kind of came to the conclusion. Like, for instance, Gad will be a troop. And
Oh.
you know, and things
But this is Abba Bibbins who did this?
No, well, it wasn't Abba Bibbins because Abba Bibbins died before he was able to break it down. But listen, the 12 try chart, I said it needs to be expand and challenge a little bit. Like I said, my history, I think I'm either from the tribe of Simeon or Levi. I don't know. And this is all speculation. I don't know. But to go back to what the brother was saying about the difference, because it was not Judaism, it was Judaisms with an S. You have different Jews that practice Judaism differently, and they argue about it. Even in your own, in the rabbi's book, they argue about the Torah and go back and forth, right? And there's and there were different sects and things of that nature. So to say that we will all it has to be one way, and if it's not that one way, he must be a part of a convert. I think it's pseudo. I think that's pseudo thinking. It boggles the mind for anybody to know for sure who's who and what's what. And I think, you know, we have to explore the space. I think this whole right of return could get dangerous and violent. As long as
if it's Jews, then there's not a problem.
No, but what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, if the Israelis or the Jews that came from Europe, it says you can only we can only accept people that are from our clique. You're gonna grow resentment because you're part of a book that predated you. It's called the Bible. And there was 12 tribes. And the same promise that was promised to the Jews was also promised to Levi, Gad, Manasseh, and all the other tribes. And it's unfair for us to be neo-narrated just because what happened to you in Germany as a defense to say, screw your pain. Screw your identity.
I don't know where you're getting
this. Is only for the Jews. It's elitist, my friend. It's elitist. You're going to have to start picking a side and say, you know what? If we're going to say we Jews and we Israelite, we have to respect every single claim, look at it objectively. We have to, and not only that, we have to start lifting up these brothers.
We have to start because Jewish people. No. That's for you to do.
I think it's elitist.
Other people to do it.
Yeah, I think it's elitist, and if we're supposed to be brothers, we're supposed to act like brothers.
Okay.
If there's evidence,
you are my brother, but you may not be a Jew, but you're my brother.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you may not be a Jew either by bloodline. You can't prove it. Show me the stats.
Let's not go over it again.
Yeah, you're gonna give me DNA. You're gonna give me language. Those are theoretical hypotheses that could prove or not prove, right? Because the Khazar, right, the king, he began to put rabbinical schools in his kingdom, and they began to speak also Jewish. So language evolves. So what I'm saying is, you got a strong argument that you may be a Jew, but you don't have a concrete argument. There is crack in your armor, and it's crack in all of us armors. Okay. So let's humble ourselves. And
can I ask you a different question?
Yes.
You belong to ISUBK, correct?
I did, not anymore. I left in 2000.
No, I know. And you were very open about that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. That. Did you know David Anderson?
David Anderson. That doesn't ring a bell.
He was the guy who murdered the two Jews in Jersey City. And he belonged to ISUBK. So I'm wondering if you God forbid, not that you did.
Yeah, I
know that.
Okay. That brother, from my finding, is and this is the problem that the media needs to stop. And they're sensationalizing. They'll say affiliated, associated, right? The brother, he was, from my understanding, he was a Shabbos boy, or Shabbos. He was within the Jewish community, and you got sometimes Jewish community will use certain people of non-Jewish traditions to turn off or turn on some lights in the Sabbath. I think he was mentally ill.
No, yeah, that could
okay.
Be.
So what I'm saying, So what I'm saying is, media would let's say you click on a video, you like it, and somebody who's controversial, the media could say there's a connection or he's affiliated with this guy. So they use those things very easily. From my understanding is he never stepped 1 foot in the ISUPK. We got another call.
Really? Even though he was wearing an ISUPK jacket?
Call from True Jew. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Okay, brother, True Jew, you on the air. What's your question?
Oh, awesome. Hey, thank you for taking the call. Look, I just had a question for the gentleman. When we go into the scripture from Genesis chapter 10, we see the account of the sons of Japheth. And when we get to Genesis, we see in Japheth and Shem and the bloodlines being written about, narrated, so that we can have an idea on who is who. Well, when you go into DNA and genetics, and you go into the so-called Jewish people's history today, we see that 80% of them identify as Ashkenazi, okay, over 80%. You know, you have the Sephardim, you have the Ashkenazim, and you have a couple other sects of Jewish people, but so-called Jewish people. But when we go on to Genesis chapter 10, we see that the sons of Gomer in verse 3 of Genesis chapter 10 are Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. Now, we know that Ashkenaz in Hebrew means German. Ashkenazim means the German people. And these are sons of Japheth. So my question is, how do we get to the bottom of the connection to Shem or Shem if these people claim to be true Jews, when in reality, their bloodline of Ashkenaz goes back to Japheth? And when we read in verse 5 of Genesis 10, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families and their nations. So according to their own association of Ashkenazim or Ashkenazi, so-called Jews, we see that their bloodline actually originates in South and Central and Southeastern Germany of Europe. So I would like to know how we can get to the bottom of this if he associates himself with being a Jew when his actual connection, if he is indeed Ashkenazi, goes back to Europe.
Thank you, brother, for the caller. You can listen off air because you won't be able to hear his response because I didn't connect the Zoom. Thank you for the call, brother. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. Shalom.
Shalom. You want to respond to that or?
Yes, sure. The term Ashkenazi has no connection to Ashkenaz from Genesis. It was a term that was developed in the Talmudic literature to describe Jews who lived in Europe, who were German speaking, but no connection to the Ashkenaz from Genesis. Two different words, two different etymologies.
Well, I read other things that they, Japheth was given Europe in the East, and there's some thought that it could have come from that. There's a theory it could have come from that. I heard different arguments, but what I'm saying is this. I believe that specifically the Jews in Germany, their history, I think, I forgot the guy's name, the rabbi who kind of founded the rabbinical tradition in Germany. And
you remember Rashi? It's in France.
Was he the guy that changed the tradition of polygamy to plural? I mean, to singular. You can only marry one wife.
Who did not allow polygamy? You're saying?
Yeah, they changed it. Rabbi? Yeah, they changed it.
Yeah. Hold on. No, that was not Rashi. Let me just try to remember his name. It escapes me at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And we should just get like some young Jewish historians, right? Just by on the side, we're getting old, we're forgetting stuff, right? But what I'm saying is that we could argue about this, and the phone calls. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, listen. You're going to probably get every phone call. It's going to be someone who's going to be disagreeing or saying, there's more evidence that we're the Jews that you are, and we're pissed off about it. Blah is another cultural, takeover of another race. And the ancient Israelite with people of color, yada, yada, yada. And here we go, white people taking over our stuff. So the same way you feel, we feel the same way. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is kind of say, you know what? There's nothing we could do about that. Because we can't go back to the past. We can't say here, right? Until the Messiah comes, right? He's going to separate everybody and say, yeah, you're this, you're that, you're not, right? He knows the Messiah is going to work it out. I think there's a better way. I think we should start having conversation and saying, okay, what can unite us? What can unite us? Now you're saying, okay, let's everybody convert to Judaism. That's one thing. Okay. And I was speaking to a Jewish friend of mine. I said, listen, I will only agree to that in two ways. We will have to take all the people that are claiming to be descendants of Israel throughout the entire world. Pick a leader out of that community and put him as a representative of that community. And that person will have equal vote with every other person in that community. Everybody who's claiming to be a Jew or Israelite, a descendant of the tribe of Israel, let's get a leader from every community to sit down and let's have a conversation about what it means, the identity of a Jew. What does it mean to be an Israelite or descendant or equal, whatever? But what does it mean to keep culture, to keep Torah, to keep the Sabbath? And let that unite us. And yet we're not going to all come together because some of us may be messianic, others may not, whatever, believe in Christ the Messiah. But we all keep Torah. And let's put these what tribe you from aside. If you're willing to do that, I'm willing to do that. But if we understand the argument, who's a Jew, I really don't want to have the conversation, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm done with it. I've been doing this for years. It doesn't get us anywhere. And take this opportunity, what's going on with Ye and all this, to have a dialect. Just have a conversation. Because like I said, if this thing continues, all you're going to see is one person defining the ADL, defining the Jewish, leaders, and say, no, I'm not going to cancel him and get away with it and still be successful. You guys the ADL and the Jewish lead are going to lose their influence. I think, and what's going to happen is,
if you ask me, I think there's going to be, I predict that there's going to be increased violence. I'm afraid to say.
It may be.
There'll be increased violence against Jews. By the way, you've not mentioned that at all. At all.
Well, let me mention now. There's been increased
all
violence.
The violence that's been perpetuated against Jews.
Yes.
No, by the way, not just you. You say that Jews have all the power. Do you notice no mention of that
I never said that Jews have all the power.
Well,
what I said is that Jews, it's undeniable that if Ye would have been talking bad about midgets, he probably have to apologize. If he said something bad about black women, he maybe have to say I'm sorry. If he had said something about the gays, they probably he may have to do some scenario. But you got to admit, you mess with the Jewish people, they come to you hard because they're not effing around.
Really?
And I'm proud of that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
How do you explain the fact that in the last few years, hundreds upon hundreds of Jews have had the shit beaten out of them? Excuse my French.
There's a difference.
Well, hold on.
There's
been no discussion about it. No meeting, no articles no exposés in the New York Times, the Washington Post, any of that.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you.
And by the way,
yes.
Where's the African American community?
Right.
Why are they not condemning it?
Okay.
Why?
Ready? You ready?
Yes.
You ready for solutions? Okay. When you have any person that has some political power, would it be the gays, women, feminists, whatever, right? Those people that have the power, it's not the average person within that group. It's a small elite. Somehow they got up into that position of that they could make a phone call right? Because I'm pretty sure, I know they don't like to be called midgets, short people, small people. I'm pretty sure they have a representative representing for their rights. I know handicapped people have people representing them for their rights. So we have to separate the elite of that organization and the average guy who's going to work that organization is protecting. That guy, if there's tension, yes, he's probably going to get a backlash. So my advice to Jewish people, start doing some push-ups, start doing some martial arts, start defending yourself. Don't take any shorts, defend yourself. Because you and the elite of your people is two different worlds, baby.
I would say come to Israel. I would say that.
Oh, come to Israel. But what I'm saying is, the average Jewish person in Crown Heights and Queens and Brooklyn and all that, he has no real power. He's the average Joe. But somehow the Jewish elite, and there's a Jewish elite, got some power. They should use that power wisely in the same way as Kanye should use his power wisely.
Okay.
And it's always us poor guys arguing, and the elite, they're fine.
I want to say something. I'm looking at here in Israel, 3:15. I have to teach this tomorrow.
I know you do.
I want to tell you something. I really enjoyed talking to you. You're a good man. And seriously, you're a good man.
Listen, we're good. You're a good man too. Let's work together. Let's have a conversation. Like I said, I'm not looking to go to Israel to become a citizen of Israel. I believe there should be a spiritual awakening of peace and conciliation, and just understand that we all have to respect each other. And I think Jewish people gotta be smart and get in front of this, because this awakening of brown people and black people saying we're Jews or we're Israelites could turn against you, because then you could come across as the elite.
It already has.
Yeah, but let's try to change it for peace. Because complaining about it, right? Because think about
You're saying unless we accept these people as being Jewish, nothing's good's gonna happen.
Well, no, hear them out. Hear them out. What they want. Because I think, I don't know. We may have to do a part 2 on this. But I know I spoke to you. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me
Call
get this.
from
Dylan.
Brother Dylan, you on the air?
All right.
Okay, hold on, because the brother it's 3:00 in the morning. He has to be at work, and we're going to try to say goodbye. I want to get your.
Well, I can hear him. I'll hear him.
Okay, so this is going to be the last question, and then the brother has to go. Go ahead, brother.
All right, I just wanted to know, what do you think about the fact that the Jews have been kicked out of 109 nations over 1,000 times? What do you think about that?
What do I think about it? That's why we should live in the state of Israel, in our own homeland. And that's why I believe in Zionism, which you don't believe in, Jabbar. That's why I'm a Zionist.
I understand the Zionist situation, but I think if I believe there would have been more peace if you guys would have agreed to go to a different part. Let me tell you something. If I would have been a rabbi in the 40s, right? Look at history. I would not have petitioned to go to Israel. I'm going to tell you why. You stick out for like a sore thumb. I understand that's your homeland, blah, blah, blah. I get it, you get it. But, then it creates other areas. I would have been petitioned to go to Africa. Let me explain why. When you look at history, the Jews have been mostly kicked off, persecuted in Europe and the Middle East. In Africa, it's barely very little. You guys could have probably, helped Africa. And I think Africans would have been less prejudiced. They would have given your own little land or somewhere in South America and whatever. Because, Israel is the site of Jersey. It's not a big, what have you. And most Jews don't want to live in Israel. So it's like one of those things that, they find where they're at. So it's not like a thing that the problem fixes every Jewish problem, but it fixes some Jewish problem. That would have been my theory. But I think now, because you guys went to the land of Israel, now all these other receipts have to be proven that it's unprovable whether you landed the children of Israel. Now, if it's a thing that you're going to stay with the children of Israel, you have to respect all these other people saying the same thing, because I think if you don't, it's going to come back to haunt you. That's my theory.
My friend.
I could be wrong, but maybe we have to continue having these conversations. Any last words?
No.
before you
I
head out?
enjoyed the conversation, and I thought you were very respectful, and I enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate it. And thank you.
Well, thank you, brother Shlomo.
Yes.
I gotta get my pronunciation, but we'll definitely do, maybe if you want to do a part 2, part 3, or whatever,
Sure.
but I told you, when are you doing your podcast? I want to promote your podcast, because I think
I have to have one. I have to.
Yeah.
I'll have to write you privately and find out how you managed to start your own podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to you. I got some tricks, we can work it out,
Okay.
and then we'll
Great.
do it, because I think with level minds have to be promoted, because I think it's too much left and the right and all that. And everybody has great points, but somebody has to just realize and humble themselves and say, you know what? We can't change what happened in the past. We don't know what happened in the past barely, because all we have is little knickknacks of writings, of testimonies of people of mostly indigenous, but that's a different conversation. Now we can dismiss them because we got a lot of information from them. But anyway, but level-headed. People have to be level-headed with these things. And it's, you have to look at it outside from yourself, like, okay, Zionism, Jews, I get that, but you're claiming to be of the tribes of Israel. So there's been other people, but what I'm saying is that that comes with it. I know you're a Zionist and you're smoking from a Zionistic perspective, but the world is very religious. I mean, America's like 92% Christian. Religion is a part of people's identity. You cannot separate yourself from that in the Bible. So what I'm saying is, I thought it would have been, if I was a rabbi back then, I would like, that's too much trouble. Give me someplace else, South America, Africa, somewhere peaceful, because that would have been too much. And another thing, if we would have had this, and I know the Zionists, I know you need to go, I believe Israel got to be more religious. I think there should be a movement within Israel to convert a lot of non-secular Jews. We have to kick out the gay parade out of Israel. Tel Aviv we have
Why
to.
does that bother you so much?
It's the holy land of God.
Yes,
What does it bother you so much?
It is.
You're there.
Yes, it is, but it's all of all the things to be upset about. That's the one thing.
No, what I'm saying is it's not a good look. It's not good PR.
It's a Western democracy.
That's the problem. That's exactly the problem.
You would rather have Iran? Would you really?
No, I'd rather have.
Would it make you happy if you had Iran?
No, I'd rather have a place that people respect. This place is a holy place.
Yeah. Well,
there are rooms for gay people everywhere in the world. Do you have to start a parade in Israel? Is that a good look?
There are Jews in Israel who are gay. What are we going to do? I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the parade. I'm talking about the parade. And what I'm saying is Jewish have to, because listen, in China, right, in the East, is the capital of prostitution, right? But they do it in a way that they still keep their self-respect. They do with the massages, and there's not out in the street and things of that nature. Certain things is not a good look. Why a gay parade? Fine, okay, allow you to be gay, but why a gay parade? And I think that's hurting you guys from a PR perspective.
It's actually an issue right now that Netanyahu is trying to form a coalition, and one of the partners is that's actually very relevant what you're saying. That's one of the stumbling blocks to the party joining. So
because if you have that, you're gonna like I said, you're getting more religious. You want to attract the religious people, not the secular Jews, you understand what I'm saying? And the Jews that are there got to say, you know what? I got to respect this land. That it's the birthplace of the Bible. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Good talking to you.
Go sleep.
God bless. Be well.
I really enjoyed it.
Be well. Thank you.
Okay. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right. You know, looking at this conversation about who's the Jew, who's the Israelite, who's what in the Bible, we gotta treat it with respect. We gotta treat it with honor, and because this thing is a loaded gun, and if you do not know how to wield a gun, you could shoot yourself or others. And looking back and looking at the situation, and you know, I know Brother Shlomo, he's spiritual but not so orthodox and things of that nature. But there's some scary things in the Bible. They're not scary for me, but if you look at it from a perspective that God chose a people, clearly they rejected him. He punished them for their sins, but he's going to return them back to this land. Wow. And they're going to be blessed above all nations. That's a dangerous thing. And if you're going to become that, if you're going to be identify yourself with the people of the book, it's time for you to clean your backyard. It's time for you to become worthy of to be called an Israelite. Because we've been Jacob for too long. We've been supplanters. But now it's time to us to become Israel. Prince with the power. Prince of the power. Israel is the priest of the earth. So it's time for us to start acting like it. And it's not time for us to convince people that we are. It's time for us to show people that we are. Be the light. Be the light. But we have, you know, and this message is for Mr. Ye, formerly known as Kanye, and Mr. Kyrie Irving. Be smart. Be wise as a serpent and humble as a dove. Because this is an awakening. And respect to this brother Shlomo and what he believes. The evidence is there. And the awakening is there. The awakening is not going to be stopped. And, you know, like I told him, I don't need his approval. I don't need his okay to be recognized as a Jew, as an Israelite. And what we need to learn from this is unity. When you have unity, you could do a lot. Jewish people are 1% of the population, or less than 1%. There's about 17 million of them throughout the world, and they are unified. And good for them. But I predict this, my Jewish brothers and sisters. You're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to pick a side of the enlightenment that's happening now. Because we could argue whether, you know, you're a Jew or you're a descendant of Israel, but there's too much evidence out there proving that we are. And if, let's just say we are the true awakening, and we're going to pick a side, and you're going to say, well, you're not, I am, and we're going to say, well, we're the true Israelite, you're not. I'm going to say this. Revelations 3:9 is going to be fulfilled. It's either going to be us bowing down to you guys, acknowledging that God has loved you, or you guys bowing down to us and you guys acknowledging that God has loved us. The scripture cannot be turned, cannot be broken. My advice is, let's start arguing who is a Jew, and let's start acting like a good Jew. Let's start acting like a good Torah believer. And the bottom line is, only when the Messiah gets here, he will separate the sheep from the goat, the wheat from the tares. You can find that in the New Testament. You can find that in the Old Testament. You can find that in even the rabbinical writings. At the end, we're going to find out who's right. But in the scripture says, blessed be the peacemaker. And I just want to bring peace, because I could see how this could turn to a hateful thing. And I could appreciate it. I know that sometimes fanaticalism could drive you to do a lot of crazy things. And I want our people not to get caught up with the hate and proving that the Jews are not the Jews. Listen, they're going to hold on to their religion. They're going to hold on to their identity. And why shouldn't they? Let's hold on to our identity. Let's hold on to our religion. Because why shouldn't we? I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Hopefully I come back next Tuesday. May God watch you, look over you, and good night. Shalom.